Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the, I think it's like 561 or 2, something like that. It's been a weird week, but I am welcome to a GeekVerse review, and the GeekVerse episode, whatever it may be. I am the clone, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
I am the web-slinging Kirkland Patzer, and it is 562, so good job, Travis.
I'm the Canon, Taylor Field.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, if you haven't guessed by the nicknames, Kirkland gave away. Web slinging can't be too many things. But yes, we are here to talk about a very big episode, one of the most anticipated movies of the year, maybe perhaps the decade. It is a new decade, so maybe it could fit that category. But we are here to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the worst title for SEO history. But that's okay, because, was it a good movie? We'll find out. You can go back and find out what we thought about the first one. We did a commentary track, so that got re-released on the feeds. There's lots of good stuff in there. Me and Taylor just did a Summer Games Fest preview. I guess Xbox and Showcase, stuff like that as well. Predictions too. I dropped a Travis Told You this week talking about some Secret Wars and Batman director news. And next week, there'll be a bunch of Showcase reviews. There'll be a bread and butter now that I got Wi-Fi. There'll be, what else is happening? I keep forgetting. I feel like there's something happening next week. Mass Records will be back. And I think soon in the next week or two, you'll be getting the very first for the non-patrons, the Indiana Jones retrospective. So lots of stuff popping off in the feed, so go check that out. And then, I think that's everything. Head over to Patreon down below for everything you need to know. We would very much appreciate the support because, as you can see, we do many episodes, many different retrospectives and reviews and newscasts and a video game show. We all do that because of you listening and because of you especially supporting, so we would really appreciate that. We're trying to hit 50 patrons by the end of July 31st, so we got about 2 months to do that, so we'd really appreciate it. If you do that, we're going to unlock 5 episodes and the bingo card, which is going to be, you can go on Patreon, read all about that, but a big thank you to everyone's on there, and a big thank you to the Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Josh Wright, and Jack Grant, who was back. I got a notification.
Gotta edit that again. 1 second.
He can't decide, but we appreciate you, Jack, being back. It must have been the Office Space retro, but yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff. You get episodes ad free. You can request a movie for us, retrospective. You get them early, and you get exclusive episodes. 2 episodes exclusive, and After 9, which are call-in show. So if it's your first time listening to us, we do a bunch of stuff. Anything you like in the Star Wars, Marvel, DC video games realm, we're talking about one way or the other. And this month, all these big movies, Indiana Jones, Flash, we will be reviewing each and every one of them. There's Jack Grant. So, yes, but here we are to kick off this very, very busy month of June was Spider-Verse. So I'm going to start with the web slinger stuff. He has the poster. He has the nickname. He's seen the movie.
I got the pants on. You can't see. I got my Spider-Man sweats. I even
do you still got the driver's seat stuff covers? Or
I do have. I still have the Miles Morales driver's seats. I didn't drive them to the theater. I got carpooled, which was nice. But I even dusted out my. Almost forgot I even had my special edition Spidey Vans, which are very nice. I think I wore those at the last Spidey movie, actually, No Way Home. So they only really come out in special occasions, and this was very much a special occasion.
Even though it wasn't your car, you still should have been like, "Oh, but we gotta put these on your seat." I'm really sorry. Make a big awkward exchange. They're like, "Dude, we're 5 minutes late."
Make it like a 30-minute, 30-minute interaction of me putting on my own car seats into.
Can you adjust your
seat? Patron Tyler, who is my chauffeur.
Oh, there you go. Can you adjust your seats a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, but no.
Non-spoiler thoughts, of course. We'll give everyone the warning when we jump over. So
exactly. So this was my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year. I was super, super looking forward to this. I had extremely high expectations, and without wasting any time, this blew me away. This easily is my favorite movie of the year, and which is crazy because I thought I loved John Wick 4. Like that was, I do love the John Wick 4, but I didn't think it was going to be so easily surpassed. But right away, this just brought me back into that Spider-Verse magic. I've seen the first Spider-Verse movie no less than 15 times. Like, I absolutely love that movie so much. I just love everything about it. I love the story. I love the animation. I think it might be a little bit too early for me to want to put this one above that one. No spoilers. It's a part 1 of a 2-parter. So there is some things that I feel like for the first movie, it's like a self-contained story, whereas this one I feel like a lot more satisfied once I get that 2-parter and I can kind of take it in back to back. But I was
it's a Dune situation, eh?
I don't think my score will be quite what my Dune one was, but minor spoilers for that. So I absolutely love this movie. I think they did such a fantastic job at just building upon what the first movie was. Very much make it like it's like a brand new adventure that it really felt like a step up from what the first one was scale wise. There was a lot of spider people in this one. I can't wait to just rewatch this and again just like because I feel like I was trying so hard to just take everything in, but with just how crazy the effects were going on, different colors, and just fast speed of this movie, I feel like there's so many things that just completely went by me, and there's just so many things that, like me being a Spider-Man fan, I feel like there were still a lot of things that I didn't even fully catch on to. So I can't wait for that, the classic YouTube breakdown video of shouting out every single Easter egg in this
The
movie.
69 Spider-Man you missed in your first viewing.
Oh, there's probably like hundreds of them in this, and I was very, very overjoyed to go on this ride. I felt very emotionally attached, and I feel like that is very much so for or the reasoning for that is because of my attachment to the first movie. Like I've seen it, like I said, no less than 15 times. I still tear up like every single time I watch that movie. Like I love it so much. And this one, like it hit me right in the feels multiple times in this movie. And I think it was such a good like end to the first part or two. It definitely has people like wanting to just, I guess, get this as soon as possible.
People? Who have you talked to? Just Tyler. You don't know us. What if we just shit on this movie?
I went with 5 people, actually. I had a big crew. And my theater was very interactive, I would say. Everybody was like very much laughing to a point that there was a point that I was like, this kind of sucks with just how many people are fucking talking.
Where's Shazam?
Just like predicting things that haven't happened. The classic just murmurs that you can hear so clearly. Again, it comes with the territory of going opening
this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Watch.
Wake up early for this shit.
That's how I felt. No, I get it because of the territory. I've seen a movie opening night. You know what to expect, but this is one where it's like, I can't wait to just own this on Blu-ray and watch it at my own pace and leisurely time. I think the last Blu-ray movie I ever bought was actually the first Spider-Verse movie. So it's very rare that I buy them physical, but this is definitely going to be one that I can't wait to get my hands on. And man, I love this movie so much. I can't wait to listen to the soundtrack as well. Again, shouts to Patreon Tower. He just texted me. He found the album right out of the movie. We're on Spotify.
It's out at 9,
we couldn't find it right away, so he did some man in the chair isms and got in there. So yeah, I can't wait to unpack this. There's so much to talk about. So without further ado, I'll pass it along to you, gentlemen.
That's the nice thing about the movie coming, because when me and Dylan saw it the first time, we saw it 3 weeks early, and the album was nowhere. All it was Sunflower, which was great to have.
Yeah, that was everywhere.
It was brutal. I was like, oh, I just want to listen to this. So it's nice that tomorrow I'll be able to have this going. But shout out to Mario Parker Milligan, who came here just to say that the movie is awesome. Also, Travis, you're giving me that Marlon Brando Jor-El hair. We'll have to pull up on a newscast. But yeah, I haven't decided, but I think I'm going to be... I've always said to Emily, like, I want to grow it out like long, and now I'm working home. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna try it out, and then cut it and get rid of it. But
I'm like the complete opposite of you. I was like, I want to grow my hair, but now that I'm working outside and it's getting freaking hot where we are, I'm like, I gotta like shave my head or something. It is way too hot.
I want to be like what Michael Keaton's rumored to be like in The Flash, where he's just like been retired and he just like has this, like, that's what I want to be, just like, because I want the man bun and everything. But Taylor Field, what did you think of this? How was it? First of all, so Kirkland said, how full do you think your theater was, Kirkland?
I would say over 80%.
Wow.
With like, I was kind of in there early-ish, so like, I feel like I was talking, not really fully getting the whole scale. Sometimes, classic Kirkland, I'm showing up late, but this was a big event film. I had to get there early. So like, usually when I'm coming in late, I can see everybody in there. It's like, oh yeah, I can kind of take count, but I would say definitely over 80%. And of course, I'm at the big theater on the west side, so kind of the big showcase.
That's true. Yeah, mine was probably like only 40%, but I'm seeing 4 p.m. at Vernon, so which is like not the biggest. But yeah, Taylor, what was your showing like, and what was your film going experience like? What did you think about this film?
It was probably 80% full.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good turnout. And this is easily my number one of the year.
It's past Tetris. Wow.
Yeah, this is past Tetris. This is past Mario. Past John Wick. This is my number one.
Mario's not saying much.
Fantastic. And
Like,
Yeah,
look
I
at
just-
Mario and look at this movie. You can, like, the differences is fucking night and day. I know you guys all love Mario, but this is what a fucking great animated film should be, you know, just throwing it out there.
Well, I mean, one is definitely like a kids movie, and this one, like, kids will enjoy it. But I think there's like 90% of this movie, I would say, is definitely tailored to more of a
My
a
kids
different
loved it.
audience.
There's a lot of sex. There's a
Well,
lot of
kids
violence.
are gonna.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
kids
Gwen
are gonna
and
love it.
Miles
It's like
just fucking-
animated. There was a kid in my theater with like a teddy bear Spider-Man stuffy, and like he was just totally invested in this movie for sure. But there's so much going on that is just fantastic. The Easter eggs galore. Oh my god, the character development that was unfolding, the relationships, everything that was going on. This movie was absolutely incredible. I can't wait to see it again. Many more times. Would I rank this over the first one? Absolutely, I would. I really love this,
Ooh.
and I feel like for me, like obviously we know we're getting that part 3. It's not a spoiler. I feel like I am right now as excited as I was seeing Avengers: Infinity War and just like getting to that end. I'm so amped. I am just craving that part 3. I was leaving the theater just like skipping my step. It was just so awesome. And like you guys said,
Madison's
the
like, "Wait
soundtrack
up."
releasing, can't freaking wait. Oh my god, this movie was just fantastic. There's so many things I can't wait to talk about, and like one in particular, and just like they didn't waste any time. I feel like once they really just got into it, they were just throwing out little subtle Easter eggs. It just totally fit with the world and everything they were doing, and I'm just really happy we got this sequel. I am really happy, and I feel like as far as all the Sony projects go, this one is just they should have been. They did. I feel like they did put all their chips in this because they definitely like they sold me on this movie. This movie's incredible, but like this should be like leading the charge, like leading their flagship.
You mean just
for all
stop
their
making live
projects.
action films?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll
If
talk about
Feige's
that.
not in the
We'll talk-
room.
we'll talk about that. But I just think like this.
Why would we? It's animated.
This
movie.
is definitely just peak like for Sony, and I think this is something that they need.
So
to
all of
just,
Sony. So you're right now saying this is better than everything Sony's done. So Toby Spider-Man, No Way Home, you're putting it on that level.
No, that's definitely like prior stuff. I mean, like right now with their new
Okay,
kind of like rollout
you just
that
said
they're
peak
unfolding.
Sony. I take that as like
Well,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
like, not
that's-
everything, like including
Okay.
10, 15 years ago, but like everything that they've just been working on now in competition with the MCU, I guess you could say, or parallel adjacent. It's
See,
just
like-
something that they need to support, and it's flagship it and just keep running with it.
flagship it. Yeah, see, like not to spoil my thoughts on this one, but I'd say for like the first Spider-Verse, I would have said that was peak Sony, even over No Way Home. Like I think these are that
I
good that
agree.
you could and
I
stuff
agree.
like that. So, any more thoughts there, Mr. Field?
That is everything.
All right, so I'll be the contrarian on 2 parts just to get a little negatives out of the way.
Here we
I
go.
don't know yet if it's my favorite movie of the year because it's passing John Wick is really tough, which is surprising because I was lesser on that franchise going into it than you guys, and even Guardians for me that was such a great send off. It's tough for me, so it's gonna be interesting when we get to Golden Geeks, even though I don't know. I think Golden Geeks gonna be tough with Dune coming out this year because I feel like we all wanted to give it the win one year, but No Way Home came out, so it's kind of tough. Like, oh, but No Way Home. So we still got a lot of good movies coming out, and we all know it's gonna be Barbie probably too. But anyway, so I don't know if I'm ready to throw that stamp on it yet because I've seen John Wick now 3 times. I haven't seen the other 2 again, so I got to wait for on that one. So I'll probably nudge it a little bit, and then I think I'm more in Kirkland's route where I think I'm more than Kirkland, where Kirkland says he needs some time. I don't think I'm for sure putting this above the first one. I think the first one for me is still numero uno. I think it just has a stronger story. And like to get like a few of my negatives out of the way, it's just I found for me the first one was funnier than this one. And not that this was like, oh man, the humor in here is fucking awful. It's not that. It's just like I remember with Spider-Verse, those jokes probably hitting a good 80 to 90, where in here the jokes that they don't fall flat. It's just kind of like and then I kind of move on, right? But like so much, like no one made me laugh as much as probably Spider-Man Noir did, right? Like that type of level. What I'm saying in the first one, what was his name? Hobby got close. Hobby, he's my mini spoilers, my standout for this film. Fucking Daniel Kaluuya just killed it in this movie. But yeah, for me, it is a huge accomplishment. There's great stuff with the visual, or there's great stuff with the story and the writing and the soundtrack and all that jazz. But to me, it is really, you can make the case where I do think it is better than the first one is the animation. It's not that the animation, well, like it's it's not that it's a base step up as far as like, oh, it's like Toy Story 1 to 3, where it's like, oh, it's been a few years, so of course it looks better. This feels like a genuine, like, no, everything, the style, how much work they have to put into it, the multiple universes, Spider-Verses that we go to, the characters. There's so many times, like the first one was impressive, but there's so many times where there's certain characters like a Hobby, like a Spider-Gwen, like a Miguel that share these different animation styles, and they're just on the screen interacting at the same time. The Spot is another example. And it's just crazy that your mind kind of has to, in a good way, it's so much for you to process at the same time, because like the backdrop will be one thing, the characters will be something, you'll have word bubbles. So it's just an accomplishment. It's, to me, it's like if someone wanted to say from a production standpoint, this was the greatest animated movie of all time, I couldn't fight them on that. Like visually wise, you just mute it. I'm not saying the dialogue's bad or anything, just like if you mute it, it is just incredible, this stuff they do. I feel like it is a lot mature. Luckily, like speaking with the people, the kids, there's not like scary stuff, and it's not so mature that the kids are out of it. But it feels like not only has, they've said this in trailers, like Miles is a year into his career. Not only does Miles feel more mature as a character, and some movies do that where they're like, oh, it's been a year, but it doesn't really feel like it's changed at all. I just feel like, oh, you're saying it's been a year, but nothing's really happened. All the characters feel like they have growth, and just like the movie, it feels like it has massive growth with the implications. And yeah, it definitely, to me, I'm not saying this is why I like the first one more, because I like more of the darker stuff. The first one was your classic kind of, I'd say, I won't say good time origin, because obviously we lose some people, but that has a bit more of a chippier feel to it. This is definitely very comparable to an Infinity War, where it's not as dark as that, but it has lots of characters, lots of plot lines, lots of moving pieces. I think there's some things in the third act that I not didn't love, but it's kind of like Guardians, where all the good outweighs the bad. But there's a few things where I go, oh, I don't know, pacing wise, there's a few things where, this is a mini spoiler, where there'll be like a big action set piece, and then right away they'll just stop, and there's like a 5-minute dialogue scene, and it gets right back to an action set piece. And I feel like it doesn't really transition well. It feels like there's some editing things, but everything's just so good in here. And same thing, soundtrack's great. It's tough because we've been with that first soundtrack. I definitely think I preferred the first one more, because this one there's a lot of songs I want to listen to, but I remember the first Survivor was like every song I needed. And again, it's because I have sat with that, but I remember when I saw it with Dylan thinking like, I need that, where this like, oh, I need this so I can hear a few songs. But like, even then, like, I don't think there's anything as iconic as Sunflower or What's Up Danger and stuff like that, right? Like those were ones that broke through to, like, they were being played on the radio and stuff like that, right? I don't think there's going to be anything here that's doing that. And yeah, I'm very happy we're getting that part 2. I think that if part 3 can have the same type of quality near as the first and the second, we talked about the Guardians, we talked about comparing that with the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff, and Cap. I feel like you can make an easy case that this could be the best trilogy, like comic book trilogy of all time. It's this definitely is an achievement. Like I said, I don't know if it's my number 1 movie. I don't think I like it better than the first one. I have like a few minor issues, but nothing massive. I thought this was a great time, and yeah, we're very lucky, and I'm very happy that at least one part of Sony's getting this right and stuff like that. I wish that they would just kibosh all their live action stuff and do just all this. Now, I don't want those same 50 Shades of Grey writers involved, but yeah, this is definitely in a year that we've had lots of disappointments, this isn't one of them. So is there anything else non-spoilers we want to talk about before we break this down? Because there's lots to get into, from Easter eggs and plot lines and stuff.
On the road of a light negative, the very start, not a spoiler, there is some dialogue,
Someone's
and there's
farting?
some background score. And no, nothing like that. It was actually really hard to actually hear the dialogue in the film. It was super quiet.
I completely
and
agree.
The
I completely agree.
Was really loud.
The sound mixing sounded off, especially like I feel like I got used to it, but like in the start of the movie, I thought something was wrong with the speakers actually. So yeah, no, good shout out, because I definitely noticed it right away.
Because it's funny, because I went to Vernon, and it's an older theater, and sometimes their speakers aren't the greatest, but it felt at times very quiet. But I was like, it's because I'm at Vernon here, so that kind of sucks. But then on my timeline, I saw Dave share something, be like, was the audio really quiet? And he's like, I thought the same thing. So multiple people are bringing up, like, there's just times where it's the Nolan effect, where you're like, like, and it wasn't that way the whole movie, but there were instances where it just felt like, I don't know if it's a kid's movie, they just want like the audio never to be like too spiked the Mike Daniels, but there were times where I'm like, I'll be very excited to watch this at home, where I could just like, it felt like I just want someone to like notch up like just a couple, just
Yeah.
if we're at like a 8 right now, just give me like an 8.5. And it was fine. It's not like awful, but it
Yeah.
did at times feel a little quiet. So
Especially like just comparing it to the first movie, where like I remember hearing that Prowler theme.
Oh
and
my
I could like
God, yeah.
hear it in my
Shaking.
skull. Yeah, yeah, like it was reverberating everything. Whereas in this one, like when the music would play, I don't know if it was just like a lighter song, but it just seemed very all like balanced lower.
yes. And I wanted that
so-
Prowler moment with Miguel when we get interested in him. There's like some
Yeah.
great, like his theme is fucking fantastic, but
Oh,
I
it's
wanted that like
very
I wanted it blaring. I wanted my ears to be like, oh my God, you know. But
Yeah, no, for sure. And like it's just another one of those movies where I'm like, I don't know if I'm just going deaf, but like I need subtitles these days, especially for a character like Hobie.
oh
Like,
yeah,
man, I swear I picked up on like 20% of what he said, but like that also kind of made it funny because of what the character is.
Mm-hmm.
Go a little bit more into that in spoilers, but yeah, I thought across the board the sound mixing could have been a step up. I don't know. I mean, clearly we all noticed it, so yeah.
yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't seen it or you don't care about it, I think we all recommend this movie. Definitely say
yeah.
go see this. Even if you can't see this in theaters, wait. It's definitely worth the ride and
Watch the
stuff
first
like
one
that.
first.
Yeah, definitely
This is
watch
definitely
the
a
first one.
continuation.
Even though they do like a, minor spoilers, they do like a Raimi Spider-Man where they do a kind of quick catch you up in the credits and stuff like that, because they're doing like that da-da-da-da-da. And there's moments like that's where I'll say again, I have some like minor quibbles, but there's moments in this movie where I got goosebumps and stuff like that. But the credits, they do give you like bit by a spider and this and that and stuff like that. But all right, we're gonna get into spoilers, so this is your last chance to get out of there. Go see the movie, come back, whether it's the GV main feed or the review feed. We'll be back and we're gonna break this all down. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So, I'm going to pull Kirk and Patzer. Where do we start at the beginning? But he's going to... Where are you going?
I want to start, actually, because there was something that just crossed my mind as soon as I saw this character, and I got to ask Travis, how do you feel about your boy, Ben Reilly?
So that's where there's two ways when I'm, like, scoring this. That doesn't affect my score because I'll try to... Like I've always said before, my score is always a mix of critical and like enjoyment. It's sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're different. So if I were to, for my personal, that's what would keep it from being like a favorite, would keep it from being a 10. I was not a fan of that, but I knew, because I understood what people were saying once Sandberg was cast, for Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider, which like I'm glad that it seems like he might be a bigger, I don't know. I'm happy in the next part, he's kind of like one of Miguel's hench guys and stuff like that. But the second Sandberg was cast, I legitimately knew this is going to be the character type. But everyone did tell me, and I tried to believe them and said, hey, we thought the same thing with Jake Johnson, and he killed it. So I was like, okay, maybe there is none of that, and none of that humor hit for me. Like, even if it wasn't Sandberg, it just, what it felt like to me was them trying to do Lego Batman when he does I'm the Cape Crusader and this, that, but it just wasn't as funny as when Will Arnett does it. So I was high, other than animation wise, looks fantastic. He just like, I love when he flexes and he like because he is like he's closer to Miguel where he's more like a badass Spider-Man. But yeah, that humor, that character didn't really work for me. So yeah, I was pretty heartbroken. At least I was prepped. I'm actually glad I knew it was Sandberg going in. So maybe that's why. So yeah, that would affect my score on like the favorite stuff. But critical, I don't go, oh, okay, that's what they're in. He's not even in it that much. But yeah, it was that was the look how they massacred my boy moment for me.
Yeah, I'm not too attached to that character at all, other than just really liking his overall attire. I use that suit all the time in Spider-Man PS4.
It's great.
And I really like Andy Samberg. I really like his humor. And kind of to your point earlier in the spoiler-free section, Travis, I completely agree with the humor. There was like I said, my theater was very interactive. Everybody was laughing at like basically everything. Like they were just going off. Even the scene like at the end when it's like really intense between, I know I'm jumping, but like when Miles is talking to his mom and it's like not actually that mom, people were like laughing in that scene, and I'm like, oh my god, I know what's going on here. Like this is so this is so goosebumps moment. But
why do people laugh? That was so intense.
Because,
I hate
because he's like, I'm Spider-Man. She's like, who's that? Like that was where like,
but like the
they weren't catching
clicks
on,
in, and you just feel like unsettled, like
just general audience.
It just reminds me when I was watching Endgame and Thor killed Thanos, and he's like, I went for the head, and my theater, like a bunch of people, we were in the whole theater together. They laughed. I'm like, I think this is supposed to be like a really traumatic moment for Thor. Like I don't think it's a joke moment, but that's where it's like, you guys watch movies differently than I do. I guess.
No, it's true, and again, that's what comes with the territory of like, I feel like there was moments when I'm like getting emotional, and then people like chuckle, and I'm like, oh, that kind of takes me out of it a little bit. But getting back to Scarlet Spider, because he's very humorous. To your point, like he's the that basically Lego Batman, like edgy
Yeah.
type, like it's doom and gloom. And I did not like any of that commentary. Like I thought he looked so badass, and then he made comments like cool pose, and it was just like, oh, that takes me out of it.
Oh yeah, I just
Yeah.
wish at this point I would have rather taken him just being silent and looking badass. Like if he
Yeah.
was just Miguel's heavy, he was just there like, hey, because Miguel's scary enough. We'll get to him, like great villain. But if this would have been a side on like his Black Noir from The Boys, just like, yeah, this is Ben Reilly. He just fucking kicks ass. And even then, when he gets his own action scene, he gets his ass whooped right away. So it's
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Like to me, this feels like they know that Ben Reilly has a fan base, but you can tell, like, hey, the writers of this, they fucking love Spider-Man 2099. Ben Reilly, we know the fans like him, so we'll throw him in, but they don't care that much, and that's fine. It's like, hopefully, my boy will see it again. But it's even like L.A. Noir. God, why am I saying that game right now? Spider-Man Noir, where it's like there was a level of kind of innocent humor to him, but it didn't always feel like he was kind of dumb. And I remember when people were like, I'd take a Spider-Man Noir movie, I was kind of hoping that would happen with Ben Reilly, but even then, he wasn't even that much enough where I feel like the mainstream audience wouldn't even remember that character. Like, he didn't have like I kind of wish that it's great to see him, but now I wish he just kind of had a badass scene. That was it, but oh well.
But yeah, I didn't love. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I need another view, but I feel like a lot of the humor just didn't completely hit with me. Like it was definitely under 50% that I was like actually laughing out loud, which is unfortunate because like what you said, I love the first one's humor. Like it all works for me. I feel like there was some humorous moments that they kind of revealed in the trailers. So because I'd seen those trailers so many times, like it had zero effect on me. Particularly like the therapy sequence. Like I feel like that really would have been funny, like in the moment, but yeah, because I had just seen it in the trailer, it didn't really hit. But a little bit unfortunate there, especially with Ben Reilly, because I really have like no interactions with that character other than just playing him on PS4 and then seeing just what he looks like and just thought he looks like badass. And then obviously hearing your stories about it, it's like, oh yeah, darker type Spider-Man. Like that sounds awesome, but not
well,
in
and
this
they
universe.
were doing that at the beginning, right? Because he's like, "Oh, my shattered past," not like they're hinting about that, but it's Sandberg doing all that. But Taylor, I feel like it worked for you because you got a smile on your face.
I liked the stuff at the start when he was just like stressing out, leaning against the wall. Like,
Yeah,
"Am
like
I
he's so
past something?"
broken. Yeah, because
Yeah,
remember, this
that
is
I
a
really
character
got
that
picked.
thinks he's Peter Parker, but then eventually gets revealed like, no, you're not. You're just a clone. So obviously, life-altering moment and stuff like that, right?
That
So-
really cracked me up. I wasn't laughing necessarily at the hallway, our alleyway thing, where he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the walls are normal, but this alleyway." That didn't really get me, but he, for the most part, like cool pose and stuff. I chuckled, but I don't know. I don't know anything about the Spider-Man variant, so I wouldn't have much baseline to go with.
That's
but
fine.
all in all, he looked cool. Like some of those slow
Oh, yeah.
panning shots, and it's like panning up, and he's on perched up there. Man, there's so many good wallpapers and posters in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking unbelievable.
He just has one of the coolest outfits of all time, and it's just a red suit with a blue hoodie cut up. But man, does it look good and stuff
and his
like
web
that.
shooters are just
Oh,
so
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, but you know it did look good because I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the movie now. So everyone, all people, if you're not a longtime fan, you should. Well, what the fuck am I saying? You should know this if you're not a longtime fan. If you're not a longtime fan, obviously I've stressed like I'm a big fan of Gwen Stacy. You know, I'm always Team Gwen over MJ and whatnot. Obviously, I got a daughter named after her. So that's one thing I should have mentioned on spoilers, but I didn't. So I'll do it here. Is I was a big fan of how much a bigger role Gwen had because I really liked the character Spider-Gwen 2 in the comics. I really like it. It's probably like a top 5 like Spider-Man variant and everything. I'd have to rank them because it always goes like Peter, Riley, and then there's a mix of Miguel, Miles, and her and stuff like that. But I really loved the opening. One, I actually think in all the universes, her universe is my favorite as far as art style goes. I think there is some weird stuff near the end of the movie when she was talking to her dad. They went a little too ham with the changing the backgrounds behind them. It was like every time they flipped over, it was like, here's a big triangle and here's like an X. It was like, okay, like just calm down. But for the most part, the comic book that was Spider-Gwen has a similar art feel. And I love just these like sometimes very dark colors, but almost like, you know, spread like butter over too much bread, you know, like like it's just like they're like pulled away and it's just like just dripping. And I love the look of it. I love it. Feels very like dreamscapey, but then I also just love that I feel like you knew right away from the beginning of this movie, hey, this is going to be a little more darker, a little more serious because how did Spider-Man 1 opened up with, hey, I'm Spider-Man. And yeah, eventually that Peter Parker died, right? But it was him on an adventure, and we jumped to Miles and his school, and he meets Gwen. This right away was the conflict between her losing Peter, which I like. We got to see more of that. the stuff with their dad. So I liked it in a story sense, and also just the world. I thought that was fantastic. And as a Gwen fan, I was eating this up. And she, like, I won't say she's the main character, but she's definitely like main character 1, 2 at some times. Like she had, I don't know what the screen time is with her and Miles, but there's times where like she was the main character for like a good 15 minutes, and you wouldn't see Miles at all. And this beginning was one of them. So absolutely loved everything they did with in Gwen's world, whether it's the beginning, middle, or end. Loved everything of it.
Yeah, I agree. I love the opening to this. I didn't really know what to expect for the opening of this. I guess I assumed it was going to start with Miles, but I really like this switch up because I loved her just emergence from that first movie so much, and I love her character from that movie. I haven't really dove into other avenues to experience the character, but I just love seeing more of her world, and I completely agree with the animation. It very dreamscapey. It just seemed very alive and like a living, breathing world is kind of a redundant thing to say, but like everything about it was like living and breathing. Like I love, you mentioned like the moment at the end was maybe a little bit too crazy, but I loved it. I love when it like gets positive and it just comes very bright. It's the same thing that like when she's very doom and gloom about like the Peter sequence. Oh, I was just getting emotional with that. But like she like basically killed her best friend, and then she's like coming into the apartment, and like her actual character is blue. Like they like drew her blue. Like she's just
her hair
down
is
and
like
out.
teal and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was like I was watching. What's the movie with the Inside? Is that the one it's called? Well, yeah, with like the emotions. Like that's what it felt like, and it's just like she's blue because she's
Inside Out.
sad. Inside Out. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Like she's down and outs, and then when she has that nice like heart to heart with her dad, like them like kind of got like a warmer color, and it was just like, man, I was eating all that stuff up. I was such a sucker for animation. Animation. This was 10 out of 10. You already said it, Travis. Probably the best animated thing like ever done animation wise. So I loved her world. I love just getting a little bit more of the dynamic between her and her dad, because obviously I haven't seen that interaction anywhere before between this particular Gwen Stacy, or Spider Gwen and her father and
Spider Woman in this movie. Now they can't decide, because I feel like didn't they in the
at least
first
they didn't
one
say Ghost Spider. That was good.
in the first one, didn't they say Ghost Spider at one point, or was it Spider?
I don't think
no,
so.
they because maybe she introduced herself as Spider Woman, but they got to stop with the Ghost Spider. Just call her. She's from a different universe. Call her Spider Woman. Like no one likes Ghost Spider. Give it up. I know you can't call her Spider Gwen because people can be like, look, it's Spider Gwen and whatnot. But I hope, I don't know what will happen, but I would love a whole movie in that universe of that art style and stuff like that. So
no, I agree, and I really really liked the just interaction between her and her dad. I think in the third act, like when she has that like big return to home moment and she like is having the interaction with her dad, I think it's kind of to your point, Travis, that you said, where it just seemed, I don't know, like it seemed like we took a little detour for where we were going in the movie. Like
it stops many times. It's high octane.
Yeah.
Like they did that with that moment. They did that with Miles's parents at one point are just talking, and they did that. There was another time too where they just will stop. Oh, it was Peter and MJ where there's a bunch of stuff going on, and then they stop and they're just
100%.
it's weird because like I like the scenes that are happening.
100%.
It's just it's like kind of blue ballsing you. It's like you're in the middle of sex, and then like your parents call you, like, oh wait 1 second, and you're having this emotional conversation. You're like, okay, then okay, get your pants back off. We're finishing, and then it's like, oh, my auntie's calling. Hang on. Yeah. No, get away. Like that's what it felt like. I wish there was some, but I feel like they almost were worried like we can't put all these talking scenes together because people might get bored. But like I don't think we would, as long as they're good scenes, which they were good scenes. No,
100%. Like I think when that interaction between Captain Stacy and Gwen are like going on, it's like I really like what's going on here, but I was kind of like put off in the initial start of the scene because I didn't want it to be happening in that moment. But then when it ended and she like realizes that he's not a captain anymore, so like his fate isn't sealed of like dying like a captain would, I was just like, oh my God, I was like getting emotional, just like especially her reaction, like realizing that. It was so good, but just the placing was weird. But I don't know where else you'd place that, so like I don't think there is an answer to that problem. It's just the way that it is, and I just have to accept it. Maybe on another view, it'll be a lot more palatable, especially now that I know what's coming.
I think the tough thing, that's what happens when you do a film that's going to end on such a big cliffhanger. Because if you look at the last Spider-Verse, they beat Kingpin and the Threat, and you get all those scenes, and then they transition to the end of the movie, right? But it's you can't do that because you're going to have like a big finale with like, because that comes before the Miles reveal, which we'll get into, and before she gets the whole team. So I think that's the tough thing when you have such a harsh, like, I know people have cut because that's been a whole debate talking this week of like, oh, cliffhanger endings and comparing this to Infinity War and like Empire Strikes Back and Dark Knight, and it's like. I kind of understand that, but this to me is like, this is a literal chopping two movies in half. Infinity War, of course you want to watch more, but really it's like Thanos won. You don't really need another movie. It's like same thing at Empire Strikes Back. Like, hey, Han's gone, but it's like, you guys just lost. Same thing. People don't call Dark Knight a cliffhanger. Please don't. Like, it's Joker won. That's it. Sorry, Batman. This is literally like, have the bad guys won? What happens to Miles? Well, you got to find out next time, which is fine. But that's where I think that's where the tough thing, it almost felt like this. It's tough because they wanted
Two Towers to Return of the King kind of a thing.
but even in Two Towers, other than the actual ring, all the plot lines get resolved. There's the battle to save the Rohan people, right? They save the people. There is, you got to get away from Faramir. They get away from Faramir, and they're doing whatever they want with the trees. Like, we're not orcs. They convince them they're not orcs. Other than Gollum hunting them and being like, we could take it from him, all the storylines in Two Towers are capped off. There's the Spot is not capped off here. Miles for sure is not capped off here. Like the Spider-Gwen team, Miguel, like I'll not count Spider-Gwen because that's kind of like she's had that realization, but Miguel's not popped off here. So I think there's like 3 or 4 storylines that are, they're not, you could not watch this movie and not watch the next one and feel resolved. Where I feel like you can watch Endgame and be like, well, like I said, Infinity War and be like, that's the movie. I'm not saying that's a con, but I feel like that's Stacy, the Stacy's scene would almost work better at the end of this whole journey, but clearly they want us to know that the canon can change and stuff like that, right? So I think it is like a weird, where do you place this, but you need it. So that's why I think it's just kind of like a pacing issue maybe at the end there with some of those. Mm-hmm. Hey, what about you, Gwen Stacy, anything like that?
I was really, really surprised that we got her as the like introduction to this film in like the best of ways. Getting to see like her highlights of her history and just what went down with Peter Parker was fantastic. Because I honestly, I knew he died, but I don't even remember how they explained it in that first film. I should have.
It's just in a quick flat. They're just like, I lost my best friend, and they just show her over his dead body and stuff like that. So it's just a quick flash.
But you can tell that he's the lizard though. Like you see like the red
and you can tell that he's like 30 years older than Gwen, which I feel like they made him look a little younger in this one. But in Spider-Verse, it's like, why is he so much older than her? Aren't they supposed to go in the same school? But that's beside the point.
That's what lizards do to you.
Yeah.
I definitely was not expecting it just to get so much just coverage just with her and her dad and everything along those lines. It was fantastic. And that was a good like 20-25 minutes, and then it was like we present like, you know, Across the Spider-Verse or whatever. Like the title card came up with like Miles Morales and everything like that, and I thought, okay, this is just great. I'm loving every single second of this, and just how it ends and concludes with her dad holding that gun up, especially like it goes quiet. He fires that shot up in the air because he's trying to arrest her, and then she reveals who she is, and he's like continues reading her rights to her.
I couldn't believe
like,
that. That's one that
fuck.
got me. I was like, man, you're a cold motherfucker. You know, he's just
to make that even darker in my head canon. I thought for a moment, again, I kind of checked back in, realized it's a kid's Sony show. For a second, I thought he was gonna just shoot himself. I was like, this is like the super dark version of the story.
The shield.
Yeah, because he just can't handle it. Like he has his duty, he has to do this. His whole like purpose right now has been find Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman is this, and like in this moment, he still kind of thinks that she murdered Peter Parker. So it's just like to not handle it.
Love?
The cops are coming.
and they it's that classic movie thing where they don't really have a conversation about it, right? She just does the whole like, I didn't kill Peter, and she starts reading the rights, and then right away she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Movie characters never like, okay, let me just say 2 more sentences to clear this all up, which I get it. She's on the clock, but at the same time, like at one point he gets locked up in that little beam thing, which I'm like, how'd he get out of that? I get, you know, like Miles had to use his palms to shoot it. I don't know how Gwen Stacy, but I guess maybe it just wears off over time. Yeah. But yeah, so no, I was surprised by that.
He's just still in there, but like a skeleton because it's been months.
He died. Yeah, the captain did die in this story. He's just
He never
bones
quit.
like a
He was
pirate movie.
fired because he's like, you got trapped in this fucking thing.
Yeah, your dad never showed up.
I was gonna say it would make sense though if Miguel actually killed him because he knows that the canon he's supposed to die, but maybe not by his hand.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, I thought that was a great transition because right when that happens, okay, that made sense from what we know from the synopsis and trailers, like how Gwen's with the team. And I loved how this is kind of like a little prequel in between Spider-Verse, you know, the ending of like some of this takes place during Spider-Verse, and I like that a lot because I've never liked that ending of Spider-Verse where she pops up and says, "Hey, Miles." I wish it just ended with him. Now that it's a trilogy, I kind of swallowed a bit better. But yeah, we don't meet, which I actually appreciated. It was very like God, what's his name? Silver from Skyfall, where you don't meet Miguel for quite a while. Like I did not think I knew the set piece he was coming at, but I thought we'd meet him a lot sooner, but we didn't. We just hear lots of talking about him. And I think much like Prowler, this is a different way, but I think they did a great job of making whatever you want to call him, Miguel O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099, who I absolutely love. He's Chris Balga's favorite variant. He's a guy that just like, when I saw that suit as kids, same thing. I'm a big Batman Beyond fan, and man, I'm a massive fan of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I played the hell out of that game. It was so great, but I think they made him scary in a different way than Prowler. Prowler was just intimidating because the look, the music, the vibe. He had that going for him too, but it was just his pure determination and that pure. He reminds me of Doctor Strange in Infinity War when he says, "Hey, no matter what happens, whether it's you or the kid, I gotta kill you to protect this stone." Like that's Miguel in this movie, where he will kill and do. It doesn't matter how close he is. He'll be friendly with you one moment, and the next moment he's threatening your life, and you appreciate why he's doing that. They give him a good narrative. I have some questions about the canon because not that I think they will be revealed in the next movie, but I think they did a great job with him as an antagonist. And again, I think he'll have like a full good guy turn in the next movie. But everything and score, that to me was my favorite musical, like whether it's soundtrack song, like licensed music or score, his theme is, oh my God, when that hits, it's like, hell yeah, like let's go.
It felt kind of prowly for me. It reminded me for sure of the Prowler scene from the first movie. I don't know, it's like an unease to it, and like I can't really explain it. It's just danger is there. Like when I hear that, same thing with the Prowler and same thing with his theme. And man, yeah, I absolutely loved him so much. I really have no experience again with Spider-Man 2099. Miguel. I keep saying Miguel. O'Hara. I loved Oscar Isaac doing the voice too. Like he just felt so natural with it, and everything about it, with his intimidation, his motivation. I loved just like the way that his suit was just like it was like Tron-esque, where we had a character that was very Tron-esque, but like it was just moving and alive in a way that just it felt more than just
fucking
a costume.
gauntlets that are like half his body that go.
Fuck yeah! Oh my God! And like his webs. Oh, everything about him was so badass, and I think they knocked him out of the park. Honestly, they did such a good job with that villain and giving him an actual like good reasoning for his motive. Like I can understand where he's coming from. Like that's what makes such a great villain. And I loved it. You say that the good guy turn could be happening. I still think it's gonna end with him dying. I don't know. I just think he's so far. He even drops the line of like, "I've come so far on my mission, I can't turn back now." So
I still think dying is a good guy though. I don't think he dies the villain. I think they're all gonna. It's gonna be a team up against the Spot next movie. Because he's so powerful now. So.
You definitely, that could be the case for sure, but it just seems like he's been through so much bad shit. Like the only good way for his tale to end is to do that like sacrifice play in my eyes, because he has nothing to like retire to or anything. Like he can't just like hang up his costume and live a happy life. Like he's just so tragic with his backstory, losing his daughter, which I'm assuming twice, because it seemed like he had lost her and then he found a universe where he had her and then like lost her again, unless he was just replacing for like the initial time.
I think I took it as he just replaced him. I think.
Okay.
But
whatever.
He
was pretty dark.
Well, like because his variant died in the other universe and he just took his place.
Yeah. Where did he come? Like where did he start? Did he just start as this guy that was just very
like? Did he have any kids, or Miguel, at any point, or was his kids they adopted from the dead variant?
I'm confused because
he replaced that one variant, right, that died. And
we're saying
where did he come from before
so
that?
He just stepped in and filled in the shoes of like with the wife.
We're saying did he have kids in this life as well? Like did he lose them and then like pull Kingpin where he went over?
I would say he did, because I think that they even showed like a different. They showed obviously the moment when he loses the one kid in the new canon that he was taken over, and then it almost looked like there was like photos or flashbacks of him losing his kid in another different timeline or another different setting. I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it too, because I took it as just the replacing of it. But either way, it's still cold.
Like when you said he takes over as like the father for this child. Well, like I guess it's not such a bad thing, because he's literally the same person, I guess,
Yeah.
different variant, but giving another
Spider-Man?
father to that daughter, and then just like just pounding this guy's wife, which again, it is kind of you, but not exactly.
Oh yeah,
Just a
that's
funny
more of a gray
situation.
area there and stuff like you didn't fall in love with this person and stuff like that. You know, it's like, yeah.
Well, if you have a kid, then it's like
so much more
is that like
energy,
a
Miguel.
mistake? like, oh, Miles, you weren't supposed to be a Spider-Man. Is that like a mistake if you have a kid with this woman who's not from your dimension? Like,
I don't know what would
have
happen
to be
there.
in this dimension.
She would have like
Is the
had her
sperm
baby
not
in her
supposed to be in
belly,
this
and the
dimension?
baby would have been like would have been
just
glitching on her
glitching out.
belly. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No, I don't know what. I have some questions about all of that, but yeah, either Kirkland finish or Taylor go ahead about 99.
Go ahead.
With
Taylor.
Miguel, there is one super sick entrance into when they were trying to catch up with Miles and they went to his real dimension or reality, and the way that Miguel just kind of like shows up, he like slashes through the fabric of time and just like walks through it and just into the present. It was just super cool. His humor definitely worked with me because it was just kind of
Dry. It's
innocent.
just-
It was just funny seeing him just kind of like interact with different characters, especially like Peter B. Parker. I really
Yeah,
liked
Mayday.
yeah.
That was
their
funny.
interactions are really
That's
good.
like his kryptonite. Like, I feel like he could kill anyone in that room, but then like Mayday is just like his one kryptonite. Like he's still like he like catches her multiple times, and he's just like,
Yeah, he's just Miguel is just such a cool character. The 2099, like I recognize him for Shattered Dimensions. I've never played the game, but that is my first
So good.
understanding of this Spider-Man. So to see him in this sense and just everything he's done, he's injecting himself. He's got fangs, and everything.
Yeah.
Which major shout outs to that Morbius plug that they threw in there. I don't know if you guys caught on to it.
No, not that.
Because when
not
Gwen was
knowingly.
swinging with Miles, Gwen was talking about Miguel, and Miles is like,
Yeah, that
I
movie
might be
fucking sucks.
paraphrasing,
No.
but was like, oh, like a vampire
You're what? You may be
good
what?
guy. I
You
might
may
be
be-
paraphrasing one of the
go.
words, but he says like a vampire good guy. I'd pay good money to see that. They're like, oh, that's got to be a Morbius plug right there.
Well, and it's apparently wrong because people didn't pay good money to see that, you know. But yeah, yeah, maybe I guess. But
Sony just like shouting out their own movie.
Yeah,
in
they-
another movie.
they re-release it again, just like, oh, everyone loved that mention
see
in
that
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse?
I would have dropped the whole point if Morbius was in this movie at some point. They're just really trying to.
I would
Yeah.
thought it would be pretty cool. I mean, they did the other thing, which was really surprising.
We'll
with the
wait.
spot, but
We'll get
to
there.
it.
We'll get there. What I wanted to talk about, because there's other characters, but because we're talking about this now, is they introduce, which we kind of, it's similar. It hits very, and not in a copying way, but in a way where it's like, okay, this is similar. Where the first Spider-Verse, they had this whole segment about you got to lose like Uncle Ben or somebody, right? And this about how we all lost somebody, and they do this again, but this time it's a literal version as far as in the Spider-Verse. They show all these webs, which that's something I can't wait to pause on, when they would just have like 1,500 like dead like Spider-Man with a Gwen, like a Captain Stacy. I just want to pause like, okay, what's a comic book, what's a TV show, like, because that's one thing I'll say. There's tons of cameos and Easter eggs. I don't know if it's a right thing. Unfortunately, I did not see any of my Spider like 90s animated guy around. I'm
Okay.
still like hoping, but he's just like nowhere. It's like, oh, I'm fucking, me and Travis Hines, we're fucking like parched over here, like just that, because I consider that the greatest anime one. It's like, just give me a frame, and not even a frame anywhere, you know.
I went. Yeah, well, one of my buddies I brought, Gage. You guys met him at whatever movie we saw. Oh yeah,
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
He shouted that out too. He's like 90s Spider-Man. That was my favorite, and I didn't see it anywhere. And I'm like, really? Like I swear I saw it
Yeah.
at some point, but I was mistaken with like the newer animated one, like the short dude.
Spectacular Spider-Man, yeah, which
Spectacular
that's
Spider-Man,
everyone's
yeah.
favorite now. So like that's how he
No,
got it. But
I got mine. I got my favorite. I got the 60s one.
Yeah,
The,
everyone got their
2D
fucking favorite.
moment. I love that with the like the little 60s like theme music sort of thing. Oh, it
Yeah.
was so good.
And then I got my favorite, voiced by Andy Samberg. So it's like a double whammy of not that. But anyway, so great segment, though, of just showing like all these different variations. That's where we got our first look at. We got Andrew Garfield. We got Toby in there. And I love that they don't give a fuck. It's like they're using comic book panels. They're using animation, all different styles. They're using live action. Because I've always thought about that, right? It's like, and I don't know now with Beyond the Spider-Verse what we're going to do with, like, I think we're getting like Andrew, Toby, and Tom. For sure, Toby and Andrew, and I'm like, are we gonna get them animated or are they gonna be live action? I really don't know, and I love that they don't give a fuck and try to explain it. It's just like, that's the way that world looks, you know. And I'm like, perfect, good, go with that. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like Looney Tunes Unleashed. That's the vibes
Yeah.
I'm getting.
Or like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and stuff
Yeah,
like that, right? Like, it's just like
exactly.
you accept it, go. But yeah, I love this concept of, like, again, similar story that they're it's a captain states he has to die, whoever's captain, all this jazz and stuff. So this is where I want to ask you guys, because I'm not saying this is a con. I feel like it's gonna be something that. What are you laughing about, Taylor?
The Dutchman must have.
Yeah.
Just popped into my head.
14 fours. But anyways, so let's take an ad break because this is gonna be a longer conversation. So just
good.
like the Dutchman, let's take a little seaside visit.
Catch
So
your breath. Yeah.
Yeah. Bootstraps. We'll be right back. We're back. So talking about the canon now, this is what I wanted to pick your guys' brain about, because I think it's something we'll explain in the next movie. But so we had two instances where we had, I can't pronounce his full name, but Spider-Man India, who I fucking loved. He was a great stand-up as well. I just loved his montage. Was probably my favorite. We're just like, my life's great. Everything goes well. Like and like when they save the day and he's like, oh, another easy victory for Spider-Man. And I think it's Miles like, it's not over yet. It's like, oh, like whatever it may be. Great character, but they've set up that, okay, he's dating a girl, much like a Gwen Stacy thing, right? And her dad's gonna die. He's the captain there or whatever. Miles saves him. That creates like a rift, right? And the rift to me looks very similar like the Spot, but then they explain, okay, Miguel did this. We talked about this very shady area. Miguel dies variant. He goes, slides in. He's gonna be married to this woman, raise a kid, and then an entire universe just gets eaten up because he was there over time. So I want to ask you guys, like, what I was waiting for, maybe what they'll explain in the next movie, some motivations there of what's going on as for the whole world. But for me, Miles is like, okay, that can't happen. His dad's about to become captain. I got to save the dad. Like, Miles, I was waiting for him to be like, well, I think the reason this has happened and this has happened because X, Y, and Z. He kind of just got explained that if you do something, this whole universe is going to get eaten up. And he just was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it anyways. Like, how did you guys take that scene? Because I think I know it in my mind. I just wish that Miles gave me an explanation other than, well, I have to save my dad. Because it's like, yeah, but then everyone else is going to die. I think I know what they're going to, but I was waiting for Miles to try to justify it. And he didn't really. Like, he was just being very selfish as far as, well, I'm going to save my dad, and then everyone will die.
The way I took it was he hasn't really figured that out yet, like in the moment, because it's just so, like, this movie is so high octane in multiple moments when you're like switching multiverses and just like the action. I mean, even just when they're going through like Spider-Man India, I forgot the name as well, but like it's just
Mumbatten or something.
I didn't want to try.
Yeah, Mumbatten, yeah.
So oh yeah, that's a nice little play on words there. Look at that. So I was just like overwhelmed in a good way because I feel like they were really trying to go for that of just the high, like the crazy colors, the crazy animations when it's swinging, going upside down and everything, and even like the point when like Miles is at the Spidey HQ, like, he doesn't really have time to think about anything. He just has to get the fuck out of there because there's like hundreds of Spider-Men that are like equally as talented as him that are just trying to get him. Like, I don't think you have any time to like try and work out like, hey, this is how I'm going to save the universe. It's like, let's just get the fuck home and then I can kind of rally. And that's even kind of shown on his face, like when he when he thinks he gets back to his universe and he's just like lands and gets back to his room and he's just like out of breath. He's all cut up. Like, he's just so many things are going on, and he has the moment to kind of give his thoughts to his mom that's not actually his mom in that universe. So that it really is the way I took it. I also feel like I haven't had too much time to theory craft on my own. It's just okay, yeah, this will be explained at some point, and I kind of just went with like Gwen's line there at the end. It's just like, well, Miles taught me one thing, that anything is possible, or you can do anything, something along those lines. So it's like, okay, they're gonna find a way to figure it out there. But I'd love to hear your theory craft ideas.
You go first, Taylor.
Well, I honestly just feel like he didn't have much time to really not even negotiate because they locked him up and everything.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like as Miguel was talking to him, you just see like more Spider-Men just kind of like coming around and circling him. I would totally feel intimidated because what he was really just like dreaming about, this was like this is the bee's knees for him, and now all of a sudden it was just twisted on an immediate dime. He learned that his closest friends that he really trusted from that first movie all were liars to him and all knew way
Well, they
more
just
than
didn't share
were
the
telling him.
truth. They didn't lie to him.
Lie of omission, though.
Yeah,
you know?
they could have. Yeah, I don't know. They definitely
They
knew.
lied.
And,
They're
like Gwen
liars.
was like,
No.
yeah,
That's-
I
Black
didn't
and white.
know how to tell you. It's it's just
Yeah.
it's
Fuck you,
definitely a
bitch.
little. It's a fine line that was crossed, but that was being walked along. But yeah, I just
feel like she's gonna wait till they like slept together then tell him, because he probably
Yeah.
take the news a lot easier then. You know that's
Just like
probably
takes the portal
wrong.
up. Oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
We
It
love
was
you.
definitely standoffish. He was put between a rock and a hard place. A whole army of Spider-Man were on him, and yeah, he was locked up for a split second. So he was definitely put in a situation where I feel like he was not necessarily being selfish. He just knew that he had to save his dad and find another way. And all he was met with was distrust. And like, as he said, like, we're supposed to be the good guys. He chose to save people and not abide by that. And unfortunately, it had major consequences because of the spot. And when you look and backtrack on all these things, if that event occurs because the building falls as a result of the spot going into that arc, like gravity, whatever reactor. Now, if the spot doesn't do that, the building doesn't fall, and the building doesn't kill Captain Stacy trying to save that kid. And then you have this whole other. Maybe that happens a different way. I don't know. Again, timelines like that with preconceived fates can be in destinies, can be very, very convoluted. But in this linear path, the way I see it, the spot is the result of that Gwen Stacy dying in that timeline. So yeah, it's convoluted.
Our spot? What do you
Anyways,
mean as a result of Gwen Stacy dying?
the spot going into Mumbai Hatton, he is the reason not Gwen Stacy, sorry, that Captain Stacy was supposed to die. Because the spot goes into the reactor, building comes down, was going to kill Stacy,
Yeah.
Captain Stacy. Sorry, not Gwen Stacy. So yeah, it's just it's tricky, but I do think that Miles believes that he can change things up, and I think you
At
have
the
the
risk of his
sense-
whole universe, though. That's
at the risk,
thing.
yeah. But again, he's like, if you thought everything was this all like peaches and cream, like perfect scenario here where everyone has something in common with you, and you learn that it's not that, and it's very much the opposite, and that you literally, before you leave, like, I thought we were the good guys, and you just bounce out of there, because like Miguel is literally ripping into your teleportation like thing with his claws, like freaking out at you, like fuck, like, I'm not gonna trust this guy. And everyone that's there, their only piece of evidence that this could happen, this chaotic multiversal occurrence where it could just wipe out your dimension, is just based on what Miguel is saying. And Miguel is definitely partially fucking nuts, and definitely,
Yeah,
like,
but I
as
don't
he
think
said,
he's
willing
lying.
to kill anyone.
I don't think that universe, and I feel like there's a way to prove that. Like, I don't
That's
think that's
true,
gonna be a
but
reveal that Miguel's like lying about this.
Miles does not have any reason to like set like to him. He's gonna think like, yeah, he's lying because he just set the spider army.
He should
on
have stayed
me.
and talked for a little bit. You know, he should
But
have
that
played
didn't
it cool.
work because immediately he was thrown into a shield. Like, he was just distrust met with distrust.
Miguel
and
was
just
listening.
containment.
He should have
Yeah.
played it cool. He should be like, "Yeah, I'm definitely with you." He definitely should have played the rat, you know. But that's one thing I did like from Miguel is like the villain side. I love when they're on the train and he spilled everything out about, like, they do the reveal of you were never supposed to be a Spider-Man because this spider went from another universe and bit you. And if that wouldn't have happened, Spider-Man wouldn't have saved you, and he would have been here and he would have fixed the collider thing already. And like when he laid out the events that happened, it's like, you know what? He's not wrong about any of this because like that Spider-Man likely would have saved the day. Like, there's a chance he didn't, right? And then that situation is there is no Spider-Man. But I like the way that he laid all those things out of,
Yeah.
you know, again, it's a what if, but really you getting bit was maybe the worst thing to happen to this earth
But,
because,
like,
you know.
I see where you're coming from for sure, and he definitely laid some facts out, but like that doesn't change the fact that all the good that Miles has done, right? And the
Oh, yeah.
impact that he's had on just saving people or positively affecting people. It's potentially better than what the other Peter Parker could have done,
But
right?
from Miguel's perspective, it's not better if he wipes out entire Earth,
Yeah, but
which Miles is on
he's
track to do
so-
that right now.
He's so on his camp that like he's so blind to even listening. Like you were mentioning, like, oh, why did Miles just, well, you're kind of joking, but why did Miles just play it cool there and like
Should've played
just
cool.
go along with everything? But like Miguel wouldn't fucking care because he's the original anomaly. He still would have like disposed of him or whatever the hell he was planning on doing.
And even on top of that too, you'd think Miguel would realize, like, hey, if Miles is not supposed to be a Spider-Man, why is his reality not concaving on itself like Mumbattan is? Like, it's just. obviously that was meant to happen.
Well, that's what I'm interested to find. That's what I wanted to talk about with the theory crafting as far as so he does that thing where he goes over there in Miguel's story and that universe crumbles. And then, because at first I thought, okay, it's not so much of a can event doesn't happen. It's that if you are from another Earth trying to live in that Earth, that's going to mess it all up. But then when the Gwen Spacey equivalent in Spider-Man India didn't die, and they're like, oh, look at the spot. And they're like, no, it's happening because of this, and you change the canon. I'm waiting for them to reveal in the second movie that that was the situation where just the spot being there made Miguel think this was happening again, but really it was just the spot, because that was Miguel's answer, like, oh no, that's not the spot, this is the universe being messed up. But we had Gwen Stacy, her dad is no longer the captain. That changed, like you said, Taylor, where if this wasn't supposed to happen, what happened to his world? So, and I don't know if there's gonna be some bigger reveal that Miguel's world was wiped out for a different reason and not because of this. So Miguel could be wrong, and I do like your guys' points of, okay, Miles, he just was quick on his feet and thought he could figure out later, because that's a Spider-Man trait, because look at Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, it's great that Peter Parker wants to save these villains, but he's a fucking idiot. He loses Aunt May and he becomes, no one remembers him. And I get everyone's point, well, that's Spider-Man, he's a good guy. I get it. That's the point of the story. I understand. I'm all for it. But that is a Spider-Man trait where it's like, this might not be the smartest. So I'm waiting to see, like I said, what they're going to reveal, because I thought there'd be like Miles would insinuate. I wish there was some insinuation, like you guys were saying, him being like, oh, Miguel, like you don't even know for sure if this would happen again. But he didn't really. He just kind of went, well, I don't believe in letting my dad die, which is fair. I get it. But I'm very curious to see, because technically then, if Spider-Man India's event changed, shouldn't that universe be getting wiped out here soon too, according to Miguel, right? Because that captain
should, but
right?
Well,
but I don't think it will be. Yeah,
they're gonna try and fix that. That's what he kind of
Right.
left off, because we didn't see all the science-y Spider-Man kind of resolve that thing. That's
True.
an ongoing
Yeah.
event.
The situation is very different too in that circumstance, because when you look at how Miguel's reality was closing in and like everyone was blipping digitally.
Yeah, they're getting snapped.
And then
yeah.
in this one, like it just there was no black hole spot
No.
in Miguel's. It was very different. So again, I think he's just withholding some information, and I
You
feel
think
like
that?
I think Miguel's being dishonest to a small
Oh,
degree
no.
to the other Spider-Man, just so that he can keep it control and try and protect the multiverse, because he's afraid of something.
See, I think it's the way that he's just wrong, but he's so bullheaded he won't get past it, and he'll realize it
what I think,
eventually.
too.
Yeah, he'll realize it eventually, because I think that's why, like you said, the black hole. He right away said, "Oh no, that's not because the spot," but I think it literally is because the spot. He doesn't understand that the spot is becoming like a fucking mecha spot god over there, and he's just like growing, and he lands in Miles' current, like his real universe, and he's black. He is just now like the man wanted holes and spots. He just has spots coming at him everywhere and stuff like that, right? So I'm interested to see, and I think they will. I trust the team. I would be very disappointed if there's just some sort of hand wavy. They don't really address that again, but I think they will, because they get very in the weeds of these things. So I'm very curious. So yeah, that's why all the stuff I brought was not any negatives. Just I was just questioning, like, okay. And I do like the pitch of, okay, that's why Miles, it helps me to be a little less selfish, that he thinks that he can fix it later on and stuff. Even though I will say, like, a minor negative for me is I didn't buy that girl. I can't remember her name.
The Tron chick, right?
Yeah, I didn't buy her not like closing the portal for him. I thought
It was
because
too quick.
He was going to the wrong reality. Like, oh, this will fuck him up.
I thought that.
She's actually
but
a villain.
see, it's funny though, because when they did that reveal, I thought, oh, I'm totally fine with it now, because she'd be like, yeah, go there, you're going the wrong spot. But she was with the team at the end of the movie, so I was like, oh, so that's one, like, a minor thing that I didn't buy her. And all they did, they bumped into each other, said a couple lines, like, oh, they're friends now. It's like, the fact that she would just throw it, and maybe it's a little tough thing too. Like, even with Penny Parker, Peter B. Parker, we saw, but like Penny Parker, she's there and like, hey, Miles, this is the way it has to happen, and she's part of the chase. So for a lot of these characters at the end, just to be now on this team against Miguel, I was like, I need a little more. I'm hoping we'll get that in 3. So I had a little issues with the quick kind of babyface turns for some of these characters again.
No, I completely agree. It's almost like we needed a 3-parter, because I needed more scenes between that chick and just interacting with everyone, but also like the Penny Parker. Like, that's what's so hard about tackling this project, is that there's so many spider people, and it's
Which I
kind
feel like
of
you don't even need Penny. Just have her at the team at the end. Like, because I buy Noir and Spider-Ham there more because it's like, oh, they weren't there. So they would almost be like, yeah,
Yep,
fuck these guys.
exactly.
Like, we're not with them. Where Penny Parker and the Tron chick was like, her name's Key something, where like they were not fully, but they're up until a day ago, they were completely fine with helping Miguel do all this stuff, right?
And I think I just need more on-screen time of like seeing that
Agreed.
change, or just even her bond, like her, like let's say Miles gets to the HQ and there's like a little bit of time while they're like figuring things out, so that
Yeah.
he can just interact with people. That would give us more time of him just interacting with whoever. It could have been any type of spider person that we saw. It could have been parked spider car. That was that was a funny one that we saw.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So but like I don't know what I would change from this movie to like splice those those scenes in. I just think it's, again, because there is so many spider people, there's only minimal things that you can do. Like, that's why I'm curious how once this trilogy is over, or if they just keep going, I imagine it'll just be a trilogy for now at least.
That's
like
tough.
how I feel looking back on just the fact that we have so many spider people that are the henchmen level, and like every spider person is supposed to be their spider person in their own universe, just like Miles is, but they don't feel like that at all. They just feel like easy henchmen that Miles just deals with. And
like our video game run, right? Like for
Yeah.
the PS4 one, he's just a henchman guy now.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. And I'm completely fine for it following Miles' story, but I'm curious if how I feel like looking back on the trilogy of just like, yeah, there's a lot of just henchmen Spider-Man, and I think even just that was in the back of my mind watching this, how everybody was like, every single spider person there was for Miguel, and I'm like, I don't think that would be the case. I there would be another.
Well,
Miles,
that's why I
or
feel like he's
another,
not lying though, right? Because he would have to have some evidence to be like, oh, Miguel is right. Because like, so that's why I feel like they can't do the whole, oh, he's hiding something and he's fucking like, unless that is the case, that maybe that universe died because he actually, went in there and screwed up. But I don't think so. I feel like they're trying to portray him as a sympathetic antagonist. Like I think they gave him too many scenes of him still showing some good in there for there to be the big twist of, oh, he's been the bad guy all along. Like, and I actually don't really want that. We got the Spot. We have, Earth-42 and stuff. But I think that's where, when I compare it to Infinity War, that's the struggle with me, where Infinity War, that was a buildup of 3 phases, all these movies. So it's like, oh, we get how all these characters are acting because we've had projects, movies, and stuff like that. Where here, we've only had one movie. And that's where I will say there's just some stuff where I thought, okay, we're moving a little fast. I get why we have to, because it's mostly Miles and Gwen's story. But when you think about it, you go, okay, I guess like I roll with it because it's all still good, but it does irk me a little, where that's where I think it's not as like clean as the first one, as far as the story goes.
And on that note, I was gonna pose the question because it just popped in my mind. Like, do you think we see Spider-Gwen's team, her band that she formed now? Do you think it's gonna get bigger for the next film? Like, she just fucking recruits Toby and Andrew? Or I don't think they'll be like a big part of it.
Yeah.
But like, do you think that she'll just be recruiting like other Spider people to make them not just feel like, okay, everybody is in the Miguel camp? Because clearly we're seeing some people deviate from that and join Gwen's. Like, I mean, again, it's more focused on Miles and Gwen's story, but we even saw Gwen go through those changes like real time, and I'm just curious how many other Spider people did that off screen, and if they kind of touch upon that at all, which I would really hope so, because it would kind of fix that henchman Spider person issue I'm kind of having overall with it.
I guess to me it all depends what they do with Miguel. Because if Miguel is like, let's say, an actual bad guy, I could see them being, okay, you got Gwen's Spire team, a bunch of people recruited versus his Spire team. But if it is just ending up where they're going to team up with Miguel's team, I don't know if I want too many more people added, because that could already be, it's already the original cast plus a few new people, right? So that's where it's like, I want everyone to have their moments and stuff like that. So I'm kind of hoping that this is, other than maybe the odd spider person, I'm hoping this is kind of it for the team, because we also don't know what's going to happen with the 42 characters. I feel like they're going to have good guy turns as well. So that's where it's like, I feel, because I feel like the play there is both Miles from that universe and Aaron will probably meet the dad that survived in the other one. And I feel like that's going to be a big flipping of the script. And I don't think they're going to end up staying bad, and I think they might be the ones that turn around and save the 42 universe, because there is no Spider-Man there. I'm not sure if you saw in the news, there is a Sinister Six active in that universe and stuff like that. So I think that maybe they could join the team. You could get some Prowlers, but for me, I think that's about it. I think, unless some die. You know.
There were some big whispers in my theater when they like Sinister Six. There were whispers all over
like
the
that.
theater. Like,
Sinister Six, you know them? Yeah. That's Octavius, that's Sandman.
Lots
That's 6
them.
of the villains that Spider-Man
Yeah.
faces.
It's kind of like that No Way Home, but there's only 5 of them.
You know, and
That's what Spider-Man 3 was supposed to be. Actually, it was Amazing Spider-Man.
what about you,
Someone
Ted?
said
Do you
that.
think
When Andrew popped up, someone was like,
Right.
"That's from Spider-Man 2," and I'm like, "You fucking idiots!
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. Shut the fuck
Yeah.
up and let me watch the movie."
And technically, it's just from Amazing Spider-Man 1 that Gwen Stacy dies, or Captain Stacy dies.
Okay.
at the
Even
end of
I
the
was
first
wrong.
one.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Oh, that guy's so wrong. It's Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's whispering and shit talking to other people.
What about you, Ted? Do you think that's the team? Do you think they grow? Like, I think we're for sure getting Toby and Andrew. The reason I hold back on Holland because there was rumors that we were going to get that Spider-Man, but it wasn't voiced by Holland, which to me is like, what's the point? Don't do it. But for me, I just wonder if that's like an MCU Foggy thing where they're like, we don't really want him to be interacting with the multiverse if we're going to go do Secret Wars and stuff, right? Because Toby and Andrew, you don't have to worry about. You could put them in this movie, never see him again. It would be odd if we get to Spider-Man 4 and Tom Holland's like never mentions that he like met a bunch of other spider people again in
Yeah.
a movie, right? So I understand why that one's a bit tougher, but what do you think about the team next movie, Taylor?
I mean, I would love to see a Tom Holland appear. Like, he's a multiverse expert now with everything going on with Doctor Strange. So
I don't know, he's
throw him
expert.
in-
He's
Yeah.
experienced
throw him into
it,
the
but-
mix.
He's experienced. That's what I'll draw the line.
Definitely. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, definitely experienced at hunting multiversal threats and like detaining them. So I mean, that's what this society is pretty much doing. So he's
He would have been a
definitely
good
got the
recruit.
experience. He would
Yeah,
have
I
been a good
guess so.
recruit. Yeah. So I think that I mean, as far as it goes, like him mentioning in the future, like, oh yeah, I met some other Spider-Man. They've already done that in the MCU, so they don't even have to go as far as flamboyantly of just like, I met the whole Spider-Man society of all these Spider-Man. But he can casually mention he's met other Spider-Man out there before, and that could, because I mean, Tobey and Andrew, they've already appeared in the MCU, so that can just be kind of like taken with a grain of salt if you want to apply it and headcanon it with the Spider-Verse or just No Way Home, up to interpretation. But I think that they should totally bring Tom Holland in there. I think it would be a shame just to kind of like outcast him and bring in just Toby and Andrew. I think you gotta have all of them back in here with this. I think it's another prime opportunity, especially with this world that they've established, or worlds with Spider-Verse. It's great. Who do I want to see join Gwen's team? Man, that Lego segment had me over the moon. That was fucking
great.
amazing. And I thought, like, when we got there, like, briefly in this Daily Bugle, I thought, okay, that's really cool. I didn't expect to go back. And we went back, and they just had the lines of, like, J. Jonah Jameson just like, oh,
Get
you're
here,
fired, you're
Parker.
fired, whatever. Yeah, just like... that was so good. And he goes to the bathroom, puts his suit on, and he starts talking like to Miguel or whatever. I was like, oh my god, this is so freaking cool. I love this. And now I'm headcanon. Like, man, we have alternate dimensions in the actual Lego movie. Like, I can just like, I'm sure I'm just headcanon. My headcanon is the Lego movie is canon with the Spider-Verse, Lego Spider-Man,
why
and all
not?
that. It's just fucking incredible. So I want to see Lego Spider-Man, Lego Peter Parker join the team. That would just be so cool to see, like, Moby's version. And
He's
like,
one of Miguel's top agents, though, so I don't think he's
I love
defecting.
that line that he said. Yeah, he's like, "You're one of our best." That was great.
And that's why I like that Lego Spider-Man's like so fine with like, yeah, we gotta let these people die. You know, like that's what I love the dynamic of all these things. And yeah, I think we talked about the predictions. I showed Jonah, so we did get him. I think there was some new dialogue mixed in with other movies, and then they weren't in a big role, but we did get a Venom symbiote one. They were in like the car, they like stopped at one moment and stuff like that. So they did do it. I still think
Which
in a
one?
third we
Sorry?
might get more. I think it was a female Venom as well too.
There was, and
yeah.
it was when
Oh no, there's two because there's your
there was
favorite.
two.
Yeah, your
there
favorite was in
Arachne.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I got so jazzed.
And there was
because
one that's like
they
the full
showed-
body, like everything. Like I think that's like the one
Yeah.
that was She Venom. Like it's that one.
Yeah, they showed. I think like Spider Woman with the black suit. I believe she showed up too when Miguel was talking to Miles and just all the spider people were
remember that.
approaching. There was even like a hockey version of Spider, like a,
Yeah.
like
With
a
a
Spider
hockey
person with a
stick,
hockey
yeah.
stick. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but that's fucking awesome. but then there was another moment when I guess in that same sequence when he's explaining the Spider-Verse, forget the long term that he had for it, but it's showing just people dying, and then it was like different comic strips, and there was one with
Yeah.
that Spider-Woman with the black suit and the
Well,
blonde
there was-
hair. Oh, I was just eating that up.
Oh, she was I think she was there again. Okay, she was there again. No, she was there like in the actual center too. So that one moment where there's that Spider-Man hanging upside down, he's like, he has nowhere to go, and then he breaks through the door. He's like, I guess he has somewhere to go. If you look off to the left, she is there
I
in
didn't
person
see
as
her
well
there.
too. Yeah, so I saw her. So yeah, she makes multiple appearances and
That's
stuff like
awesome.
that. Which I liked that they like Venom got a whole like I love that they're like, oh, and we've had bad moments, and I was expecting other things, but it was just pretty much Venom, like just all this Venom stuff. But I was kind of surprised that they didn't show, especially at the beginning of this movie, which I like this. We'd heard this from trailers, but Gwen Stacy being like, oh, you know, Gwen's have like a habit of falling for Spider-Man, but always goes bad. I thought for sure this is where they were going to show some of this stuff for Miles to kind of be like, oh shit, like this happens to you. Maybe that'll come in the third one. Maybe they're holding that one back, but I was kind of surprised we didn't see any, at least from my knowledge in that the Spider-Verse stuff, any images of a Gwen Stacy dying. So I feel like
Yeah.
that was maybe on purpose there because they had so many different Easter eggs.
Well, even in the trailer, like there's a shot of her falling and like
Yeah.
Miles going for her, and there's no resolution at that moment. But like in the movie, when that actually happens, like it's not a big moment at all.
No.
It's just she's falling, he swings, grabs her, and then like he does basically the same thing that Andrew does in Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he like webs her, and instead of just snapping her back, I guess because she's a spider person, she just has the strong back for it to not snap.
and she
that
kind of
way.
like flips out of it after too.
But
so.
she's just like limp and like
Yeah.
he's like swinging with her, and I'm like, man, it's good to have those super spider genes
Yeah.
to save you in that moment, because the other
If
Gwen,
only Emma
yeah.
Stone. Yeah.
Shoutouts to her band.
Not
too,
made
at the
of stone.
beginning. The Mary Janes. Before I forget that. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
love
that was
story.
funny.
Love, I think that's from the comics, but I love her hiding the suit and everything and the drum kit and stuff. Very fun
Good hiding
touch.
spot.
Yeah.
Taylor, I wanted to ask you though, what we were talking about with the Prowler. Well, Travis mentioned that he thinks they're gonna do a hero turn or turn good. I completely disagree. And on our car ride back, it was very split. It was like 50-50. Everybody, like, some people thought that the Prowlers, yeah, they're gonna switch. I very much don't think that's gonna be the case. But what do you think, Taylor?
What do you mean switch?
Will
Well,
they
like-
help the heroes in Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, they're completely
Or
evil right
Spider-Verse.
now. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And you don't think they're gonna help?
But see, they're
I don't
not,
think they're gonna help.
I don't think they're completely evil. They have that thing, but even just the way Aaron was interacting with Miles' mom, there's still good guys in there. And I feel like when the dad, they have that conversation, it's going to be like Onward. Like I predict the end of Onward where they get to have like a moment conversation with him, and that'll be like, oh yeah, we can't do this. Like we got to help out and stuff.
yeah, I
you
don't
know?
think that's
They-
gonna
if-
happen.
If they
Really?
really wanted to like rough him up, they would have roughed him up. Like they,
I thought he
they
did
honestly
in that
like
one punch moment.
all they
Oh,
did
yeah,
was
just
yeah,
Miles'
Splatter.
hand.
I'm like, he just fucking murdered Miles.
that whole
Anomaly.
sequence was so fucking awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. And just when his brother, or not his brother, his uncle was just like, yeah, I'm not the Prowler. And you just see the Prowler coming down like, oh shit, it's fucking Miles. This is absolutely bonkers here. And just how like this is what Miles was supposed to, I guess, technically. No, I guess he wouldn't have really become the Prowler because in his universe, Spider-Man would have still been there, saved the day, all that kind of jazz.
Well, and also you would assume that his dad was still alive. They also make it seem like the dad dying was a clear deviation for this life, right? Because the dad would have kept him on.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Spider-Verse in our movie, he is hanging out with Aaron, but he keeps that a secret from his dad, right? Because clearly his dad doesn't want to be hanging out with his criminal uncle. So I feel like once he goes, Aaron's in there and there's no Spider-Man. So it's just like 42 has like multiple bad things going on right now.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Travis. Like that family still has like a good heart deep down. Like when his uncle gives the money to his mom and everything, I think there's definitely something going on there. And like I said, aside from that big knockout punch, they're exceptionally curious.
Yeah, and
with
they, like you
this.
said, they could have killed him, but like they should be punching him because, like, from their point of view, there's like a fucking another Miles Morales. Like, why wouldn't they punch him and tie him up? Right?
Yeah, and like I feel like okay, if he was part of the Sinister Six, I feel like maybe that would have been too much in there. But hey, we got an army of Spider-Man. Then wouldn't the Sinister Six be there? Or like, hey, like let's what's going on here? Because like
We might get
I
that
don't know,
next
I
movie
just-
though. I guarantee you we could see that Sinister
Yeah.
6 and 42.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much curiosity there. Like that line just, oh my god, like, well, we can save our dad, your dad. Like it was just like fucking chills. So
Yeah.
I think that there is an absolute opportunity for them to turn around and become heroes, and I think that would be such a cool like redemption for just that character of the Prowler.
I
And I
think
feel
that
like
they've done
that's how-
so much fucked up shit probably in 42. Like when Aaron gave the mom that money, like he probably fucking murdered some granny or something for that. I'm just like, that's blood money. Like
No, but
these
they're
guys
going
are
to get
so
groceries too.
they're so
and stuff.
dirtbags. I don't know.
Maybe, but they could just be knocking off banks and stuff like that. Like that's what Aaron Prowler, like that's how Miles get bit in the
They probably
Ultimate
robbed
comic,
the
right?
Sinister Six.
Yeah, like in the Ultimate comic, that like
The Robin Hoods.
Aaron steals the spider, and that's how it like bites Miles. Like they could pitch it that way, and I just feel like so because here's the thing: if they're just bad guys, like are they gonna kill them and then leave Miles's mom alone? I don't think that. And I feel like is 42 just gonna stay like shit show? Like I feel like that's why they'll have a good guy turn, because then when they go back to their universe, they're gonna clean it up and they're gonna be the heroes of that. Because if not, then 42 is just like one of the worst, which they could be. They could keep it that
They're gonna
way,
sacrifice that universe.
but yeah, they're like, yeah, make the non-canon stuff happen there.
Who do you think spray painted that wall too? Right, in honor of
I think
like,
them.
Exactly, and he's
Yeah,
a cop,
definitely.
and like who's keeping all the other
Well,
like
it's family
graffiti artists
member.
off of it, right? Yeah, family, like and again, like he's a cop, so I think that there's definitely that.
But like you
more
see
of
that city,
heart.
man. The cops are not doing well. Like I don't even
Well,
think
like
there's a
Arkham
police
City
station.
back there.
It's like
looked
that Meryl's still
definitely
like
looked
in one
Arkham City.
piece, you know, like
Yeah.
the fact that there's no other. It's because it's Prowler territory, but yeah, no, it's not looking
Yeah.
good there.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, and I love when he landed there. Just that difference of like it's that very just harsh green, you know, like almost like toxic away and stuff like that. It makes
Yeah.
sense because that universe is
There's
not
carcinogens in
too
the air.
hot. Oh yeah, like that venom is massive. That venom over there is like a kaiju. Like he's just feeding off and like.
Just slurping it up. Yeah, no matter what happens, I can't wait to just see what happens with that interaction, because I didn't think we're going to be getting Aaron back as well as an evil, well, a misunderstood Miles, perhaps the Prowler Miles, and that reveal was just so bone chilling. Like I said, there's people that were kind of chuckling in that moment, but as soon as he was in the room and I saw like the mom's eyes were green, whereas like in his universe they were brown. Right away, I'm like, holy fuck,
Something's up.
he's not in his universe. And it was weird because the way that the movie's animation is kind of done, like they have kind of changed color. Like we saw in Spider-Gwen's universe where like she's a different color multiple times. So for a moment I thought, well, okay, maybe Miles' eyes are green too. Like like they're just kind of changing the colors here. But then no, like it was like this is off for sure. And I just love the way that scene went, especially just like Aaron like hugging Miles hugging Aaron like when he sees him, because it's just such a big moment. Like that's his uncle that he thought was gone, and like the uncle kind of embraced him but was just like, well, I guess he knows what's going on because
He
he
knows
interacts
something's
with
up.
Miles.
Yeah.
And he just seems like so cold, and all the animation around him was amazing, especially when he brings him like back to the Prowlers hangout, and it's just, oh, he's playing that song and just like the way he's
Turns
spinning
the volume
around.
up.
Yeah, and like before that too, like when he's up on the rooftop and Miles gets just knocked out by the other Miles, the Prowler, I was just like, okay, well clearly Aaron didn't just do that. Like, does he have like a robotic Prowler? Like I just didn't really understand. But then when he turns around, you see the Prowler like hanging there, and he drops. Like, holy fuck, we got another Miles here. Like that was just such a great reveal, and I really didn't see it coming like at all. So that was such a well done. I guess that was the cliffhanger. So yeah, end of the movie.
Yeah.
It was just so good.
That's that, and like Gwen getting the team together, like because she gets that watch. We forgot to mention that Hobby left her. Yeah, is it Hobby or Hobie?
I think it's Hobie.
Hobie. Okay, that would make sense. So it's not a Hobby like Hobgoblin, but yeah, he left her the watch, so they're gonna recruit and go there. But yeah, it was a fun. I knew the second they revealed that, okay, we're for sure on the universe, that Miles was gonna be bad, just because they're holding them back for quite a while. He wasn't just around and stuff, which is kind of funny, as we're about to get the Flash in 16 days, and that's like a similar thing, right? Where it's like it's a one Barry bumping into another Barry. So these multiverse things, you know. But yeah, I'm very excited. Either way, I'm excited to see which route they go with those characters. I mean, I was happy to have that Prowler theme back. You know, that's just a classic right there. So.
And his look, man, it's just such a great, like, purple with the eyes, and
Yeah.
especially when they have them in the shadows. He just such a great character.
What about a live action Prowler?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that was
love that
crazy.
moment. That was crazy, because you get the one from Homecoming, but he's like actually in the suit, which was great. And just to have like Donald Glover a part of it just made me happy because it was just one of those things where hearing like the talks of him like, well, I don't even know how much traction it had, but the rumors of like, oh yeah, he's gonna be like Black Spider-Man, like Miles Morales or whatever
Oh
it was
yeah, a
back
long
in the
time
day.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, it's such a missed opportunity because he would have been so good with the character. He's a great actor. So to have him here, it was like, okay, nice. Like I'm so happy that we had him in this versus just not at all because it's just like, I don't know, tying him to the Spider-Verse more so than just what Homecoming was or just like him doing a voice for a character. Like I really liked how it was actually the live action version of him and yeah, no, he was great.
And it's just like, it's just so funny. We got him in Homecoming, and I'm sure one day we'll get him as like live action Prowler because like he's there as Aaron Davis. But it's just funny. It's just like this was not the place I was expecting to see it first. Was in the Spider-Verse movie. Like like even then I almost didn't expect it to happen in the MCU because it's been what 2017 since Spider-Verse or Homecoming happened and stuff like that. So
Yeah, long time now.
yeah. So well, let's take an ad break and then we'll be right back and talk about some other stuff. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Where do we want to go next here?
What about
Go ahead, Taylor.
The Spot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really
Go
like
ahead,
his
you go
introduction. I really like his introduction. It was kind of showing the scenes that we saw in the trailer, but the way that they like tackled it, I feel like I just liked it a lot more. I assumed he was going to be a kooky character at least initially, and he very much was. And just him trying to take that ATM was hilarious, and just the whole interaction between him and Miles in that convenience store I loved, and just the chaoticness that followed it. And he was the type of character that starts very pathetic but like great potential with his powers of just how powerful it actually could be, and the way that they showcase that of him. Like, he isn't just an idiot. Like, he actually is a scientist. I like how it tied it back to the first movie with that bagel scene. I love that scene, too. So it's going to be funny rewatching the first movie when Miles just decks him with the bagel and knowing that is the Spot scientist.
That got a good laugh out of me, the bagel thing. I was like, okay, that works. That's good.
Yeah. So it's funny how they, like, in this one movie, they tackled making the character, at least for me, like, really humorous. I was having a good time watching him and just fail, but then also, like, him kind of figuring out things and then getting powerful and getting cocky and, like, realizing, like, how strong he really is, and then really terrifying, man. Like when Miles went in through that portal and he like went like full dark mode and like showed him like the future, and his voice gets like just a lot darker and like heavier and just scary and intimidating. It's like, because Miles like freaking out, he's like, what was that? It's like, that is the future, and like, I'm gonna take everything from you. And it's just like a very terrifying character, more so than what was showcased initially. And I liked how they hit all those bars. And yeah, I don't know. I think he's gonna have like a minor. Well, wrong word choice. I don't think he's gonna have a minor inclusion of the next movie, but just like his actual character inclusion is gonna be a lot less, in my opinion, than what was shown here. Of just him realizing things. Because I just think like him being the evil Spot will be what is showcased there, more so than just like the scientist of like figuring out his powers or like his motivations. It's very clear he's just like a black hole guy now, and he has that power level. So it's just, he has no room to be goofy now. It's just, he is the main threat. So yeah, he's not going to be a minor character, but just, it's not going to be the levels that we saw in this movie, if that makes any sense.
Let me pitch this to you then. So if you
Ooh.
don't think the Prowler is going to turn good, what happens in part 3 then? Does the Spot get killed off right away in a big battle, and then the Prowler, Miles, becomes the main villain, or vice versa?
I don't think so. You guys were kind of winning me over a little bit with the Prowler, like, kind of turn thing. So I'm not super in the against camp anymore, or the against, or the for or against in that sense. I think with the Spot, it's most like, I think he could reach a level that he is kind of a black hole type entity, and like he doesn't really have a personality at that point. He's just like, he is the thing that's sucking everything in. So it is a threat.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need some fucking big floating villain.
But I don't think we're there yet, because we still have Miguel technically being an antagonist right now. There is so many moving parts. They could even introduce like a new threat in the next movie, more so than what was showcased. I don't think it's going to be the new main threat, but just something. I don't need that.
I'll do it myself.
They bring in Morbius or some fucking thing.
Oh,
to the
that they
Sonyverse.
can do. Yeah, they
Yeah.
can bring a Morbius.
This is
Yeah.
Craven's introduction. So I don't know. I'm not super putting my chips in that theory, but I just think it's going to be different. But I'm not super confident in that. So
I think the Spot. I think you're right as far as like character development, but I think he'll have. I don't know if I'll say way more, but definitely more screen time in the next one. And I do think he's going to be the main big bad. I do. And I think because it's Jason Schwartzman, you'll still get some humor in there, which his humor is very hit or miss for me. I've never been the biggest Schwartzman fan. So I like the Spot in this movie, but he's the thing I like the least. Like, I don't like... I didn't have the same vibes you did as far as getting really scared of him. I like the animation. The animation when he was popping off, but it's not the same way as like Prowler or what we just have like Miguel here. I didn't really get that. So Spot's definitely like, I don't want to say a weak point because there's nothing they did wrong. It's just nothing. If I made a list of things that I was really excited about with this movie, the Spot wasn't one of them, other than visually. But that's everything in this movie. Everything, like the most minor character can look great visually. But yeah, I think with him, like even Miles near the middle portion, at times he was having problems fighting him because like he'd do the whole thing, you punch and it goes through a bunch of different holes. I think if this guy's in like God mode, I think that's why you're gonna get a lot of sequences of them timing, like swinging each other through different holes and all. Like you're gonna get a splash panel where it's like Spot in the middle and like 50 spots and holes and all Spire people coming out of it to attack the Spot. I think they're gonna do that. So I think he'll be the main baddie, and I even think he could have like a good guy turn at the end because he's just like a it was an accident that happened to him, right? Like they could get him back to human form and he'd be like, oh, here we go. So.
yeah, did you laugh really hard about the holes joke? My theater just could not stop getting that when he's like,
It's fine.
oh, my holes, I lost my holes. And like there was one guy that was like belly laughing to the point that like it extended past that scene. Like he was still laughing about the guy's fucking holes, and I'm like, this is so not my level of humor. But
I've been there though, right? I'm sure when we saw Bullet Train and laughed at Big Boy,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure a bunch of people were like,
100%, yeah.
fuck these guys. It's just Big Boy. It's nothing
100%.
special.
No, I get it for sure. But I'm excited to watch it at home for that reason.
Yeah.
Shay, you're not allowed to laugh at that scene.
Yeah, and when Kirkland's watching, like on the door, there's a strict like no laughter during the scene.
Silence,
and whatnot,
please. Yeah.
But, yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to think where we want to go, or anything more in the Spot.
I have nothing more on this spot unless you do. No. I was gonna bring up the parents. In the predictions, I was completely wrong. I thought the parent. Well, maybe not completely wrong. I thought the parents were gonna be a lot less like incorporated in this, whereas they are still very much plot purpose. Very just great scenes over. I feel like that's one of my favorite things of this franchise so far is actually Miles' interaction with his parents. It's like. It's a hard one of just, I don't know, I feel like I can kind of relate to something. I'm not Spider-Man myself, but just certain interactions that he has with his parents. I'm not an only child, but like my sister moved away when she was 18, so 4 years younger than her. I feel like in that age of being like 15, I was like a kind of a solo child for those portions. So it's just a lot of Miles isms I feel like I can kind of relate with, and still very loving, like supportive family, but it's just it's challenging handling those things. And
You want to go to New Jersey? Parents want to keep you in New York.
I wanted to go to Princeton, yeah, and study quantum physics. Definitely had the grades for that. No, I just, I don't know. I get super just emotional having those interactions with it because it's like from the parent side, like they just want the best for the kid, but the kid like wants to be able to spread his wings, and I really love that dynamic between it and this one, because it's not a perfect end to that first movie. Like they definitely, like they embrace and understand that they like they love each other at the end of the day, but like clearly at the start of this movie, like they still have their issues of, especially because of his secret identity. Like that just makes it so hard because he's always busy all these times, and they just want him to really focus on his own life there. And I love that balance, the way that it was just done in this movie. And like you see both sides of them. Like you understand the parents' perspective as well as Miles' perspective. Obviously, being Spider-Man, it's kind of like it's easy to understand where he's coming from. But I don't know. I like the. I guess I could choose the word peril of Miles trying to balance it, and it's a Spider-Man thing of just trying to balance his home life, like in Tobey's Spider-Man, he didn't help Uncle Ben paint the kitchen, like that's just something that Peter or Spider-Man
See
in
you later,
general is just yeah, always trying to balance, and I love the way that that's showcased through Miles and his parents, and I really like the moments between the parents and Spider-Gwen when she was there.
Yes,
like just
I was
like
happy that interaction
all,
happened.
all of that stuff. I
Oh,
was
she's using her
eating it
first
up.
name.
Yeah, I was eating all that stuff up. So I love the parents, and I'm really glad that they had more of a showcase than kind of what I was predicting to enter this movie.
I liked when she just swung, or not swung, but just waltzed out of like Miles's bedroom.
I
Like,
have
he was a
issues with
parent.
that.
Like what?
Yeah. I love everything with the parents. I think they had good conversations. I really like the cake gag when they open the cake and the I'm not proud.
That was one of the hardest I laughed actually
Yeah.
in the movie. He's
That
like, I
was
got a
really
great
good.
message for you. Opens it up.
That was good. There's lots of good heartfelt stuff there. And like Kirkland talked about with just the Spider-Man stuff, that's what especially I missed with like later Tom Holland ones. Once we got past Homecoming, they did, I guess, a little bit Far From Home, but that just got so otherworldly. I do love when it's Spider-Man, he has to get to a dinner, get to a school meeting like we are here, right? And I love what, even with the birthday, how many times he bumps in like 3 or 4 different villains or just little criminals, right? Where it's like, I gotta go do this, I gotta do this. So I always love that struggle of like, oh, just drop it and go, but you can't because you're Spider-Man. My only thing, especially because the first film, the dad was so just like on Miles' case and all around, I found it was a little odd that like Miles' whole movie is acting very strange, like very, very suspect. And then they meet this girl and they're so worried about Miles. She walks out of the room. Yeah, they don't say anything. And they're like, where's Miles? And she's like, oh, I don't know. And the dad's like, wait, you don't know where he is? And they do this like conversation back and forth. And he's just kind of like, when you find him, just tell him that you love tell him
5
that
months.
tell him that we love us or whatever. Yeah, 5 months. But then they just say, make sure you express that we love him, right? But I found it very odd that like, from what I've garnered of this dad character, it felt very odd for him just to be like, well, when you see him, like, just let him know, like, this is a guy that his brother went missing for a couple of days, and when he found him, he was dead in a fucking alley. So I felt they kind of played up. That was the thing of, I wish they either made Miles, like, because they kept going, what's going on with him? And they almost making it sound like he's up to no good. I feel like they're trying to maybe imply it might be like an Aaron thing, right? Where he fell into a life of crime and stuff like that. But I feel like they kept going back and forth of, is it just like school hijinks or is it he's in trouble? And I feel like Gwen being like, I don't know where he is, you have to find him. I'd be like, fuck, like, hey, suppose this girl he might be sleeping with doesn't even know. He's acting very strange. And they're just like, yeah, just let us know. I didn't. That's one thing I didn't like. It didn't fit the characters I knew as far as what they've portrayed so far.
That's very fair. I feel like I am kind of glad that they didn't go the route of like, oh, he's falling into the life of Aaron, or like he's drug dealer or whatever that route, because I feel like we kind of did that in the first movie. Like they assume that he's going that route. And like, yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like the parents took that a little bit too easily of like, just let us know when you find him.
They definitely on the calendar planned like that was sex night for them. So they're just like, no matter what's happening, like we're getting it on. So like make sure Miles is good in the morning.
If you find him, don't bring him back here tonight.
Unless he's OD'd, don't call us.
Because I don't know. I feel like specifically for the dad. Well, it's funny comparing this movie to the first one. I feel like the dad had a lot more moments with Miles in the first movie, whereas in this one it seemed a lot more for the mom, which I liked because I like seeing those two sides. Mm-hmm. But like when if they're looking for Miles, I think that was tackled so well in the first movie, and I feel like it would have just been a little bit too repeaty. That's not a word, but I'm going with
I
it.
agree with you, but then
one.
it's just like I said, I still don't buy they'd be so nonchalant. So they're like in a corner where like they shouldn't repeat it, but they should. Like it's strange for them to be. That's why I wish it was just like they should have made Gwen sound so dire. She almost just should have lied and just been like, yeah, I'm on my way to see him right now. Like because then they'd be like, okay, he's fine. But for her to be like, I don't know where he is, it's like, what?
Did you have an inkling that she could have been like revealed that she's a spider?
I 100% thought that was actually going to happen in that moment, and that like that kind of would have fixed that issue of just like, yeah, I'm like, because she was wearing her suit. I know she was wearing Miles's sweater there, but like to Travis's point, like she was very dour.
Yeah,
is that a word?
Yeah, dour's a word. Yeah.
Of just like she's. It almost seems like she's gonna cry. Like she's missing Miles, hasn't seen him in a while. It almost seems.
Like that's
and
in a true crime doc when the parents are like, yeah, we had this interaction with this girl he was seeing and then we never saw him again. Like that's what that scene was, you know?
But like it would have been completely fixed if she just did have that moment of like reveal like, I'm a spider person, he's Spider-Man, like this person, because they would have known that he can at least protect himself to a certain extent. I know he's definitely getting jacked versus the first movie, but still he is just a human in their eyes. So I think that really would have fixed it, but at the same time, on the other side of the coin, I do want to see that reveal moment between Miles and his parents, like not just through Gwen, but I think it would have fixed that scene a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know what version I would have liked more, but you bring up some good points, Travis, poking holes in that scene.
Well, you kind of get even though it's on 42, you do get the reveal scene. You know, you get to see that lived out a little bit. Because it's funny, when that happened, I was thinking about it, and I thought, other than love interests in the live action films, Spider-Man's never revealed his identity to anyone, has he? Because Aunt May and the Tobey ones didn't know. Sally Field and the Amazing... Yeah, purposefully didn't know. Aunt May and the Homecoming series, she finds out. Ned finds out. Iron Man finds out. Like, other than his love interest, he's never... That never happens, you know? So I do want to see that too. I hope it's not like his mask comes flying off and they're like, my little boy. Like, I'd like the full thing, and hopefully it'll happen before, you know, the dad dies, which I don't think he will.
No, there is. He reveals in Spider-Man 2 to Doc Ock. He intentionally pulls his mask off and reveals to Doc Ock.
I guess. Like, Doc Ock's about to die, so I feel like it's a little bit of...
Brilliant, but lazy.
He learned that from Storm and Norman in the first movie. He's like, oh, he revealed his identity to me. I better do it.
Yeah, but you're right. I'll give you points there. They said... Miles or somebody said something someone said blank in the palm of my hands. Someone had a Doc Ock.
It's when he's doing like the new, I don't know what they called it, but like the reactor thing, like in his room. It's when Gwen
power
is
of like the multiverse.
Yeah. I was like, oh god.
Because when Gwen is like using that robot thing to like recreate the scene, which is very Batman like with her gadgets. I like that.
I liked it all.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd shout it there. We got a little Doc Ock trip. And we did hear, again, movie line, Alfred Molina, Hello Peter, when they were showing all the villains. I was so surprised. I thought they were going to pull it because they like to joke when they were showing all the different villains that were variants. And we got to see like a great comic accurate Rhino. I thought for sure we were going to get the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Rhino. I was really hoping they were going to throw him somewhere because I thought, man, this would be a great, like, because they're like, oh, these are all like the messed up variants. Like, I would have loved if they had that Rhino, and not live action. I'm not saying get Paul Giamatti back, but just I thought it was going to happen, but it didn't. But I guess
Rhino.
What?
Got a regular old Rhino.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it enough. Yeah, you know, and I guess that's not the place, right? But I hope if we get spin-off of these films, like I do want to see more classic villains, which are all you get time. Which we got Vulture at the beginning of this movie, which was tons of fun.
That animation style on him, holy fuck, that was
very
so
well done.
cool.
Yeah. I like too, and this is that's where it kind of first highlighted was when they use certain slang words. It just popped up like a comic book text box and just kind of gave you like a brief description. So
we got a few of those.
I like the Scooby Doo, and they like explained it really quick. It's just like that's a clue.
Fucking
a lot of those like popped up really quick. Maybe I'm just too slow, and also like, on the
those
big
were
screen,
fucking
like
quick
in the corner, couldn't really fully
because you don't want to feel like a fucking advertised movie, right? Where there's just like a fucking spot everywhere, you know.
To that point, I feel like the first movie had so many more of those moments though, of like not so much of like the thwip and like showing like the sound effects for it, because they definitely had that at certain points in the movie, but just like the little like the little sidebar things explaining scenes. I think that happened so much more in the first movie versus this one.
When Miles goes into the Spider Society and like 100 Spider-Man all around him, you just see text boxes everywhere. My brain couldn't focus.
It was hard to follow.
No one.
That's a freeze frame.
Anyone saying they caught that on the first viewing is the biggest fucking liar in the world. They're a bigger liar than the former president. Like, there's no way. Like, yeah, I caught every single one, and I know every single one, and I know all the Spider-Man. Like, no, you don't, man. Like, there's probably some things that are made up Spider people and whatnot. But yeah. But yeah, I gotta say just before I forget, Hobie, I'm forgetting it now. Did we sign on Hobie? Yeah, Spider-Punk. Why am I just going that? One, I love when he gave his story and they showed his face, but it was like a question mark. He was like, I'm not giving you my identity, like all that stuff. Kalue was great. I love the speech, but then when he take it off, I love they gave him like this very like Jimi Hendrix sort of look. His animation, which I've read today, I think they said it took about 2 to 3 years to do that. I could fucking believe it because man, that was the thing. There's so much stuff, but to me, that was the thing I was most impressed with. Anytime that character was on screen, I could not take my eyes off him because just the way, like, just even little stuff, like they'd have like just a plain shot of his hand, but then it's like his hand's animated, and then over that they have like text that's not.
It's like newspaper or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. And I was like, no wonder why this character like dipped out midway through the movie because like but even when he was Spider-Punk, like the way he was moving, like from everything from the humor, I loved when he was this whole like fuck the system sort of whatever. Like he helped Miguel. I like that it started as like because it might be Gwen's boyfriend. It wasn't, but that kind of rivalry. But I love of just like Miles is questioning stuff, and then in the background you just got Spider-Punk like, yeah man, down the system, like all this, like whatever he was saying off to the side, I was like, fuck yeah. So like he was my takeaway of like, other than like story and the visual, like for my favorite character or something where it's like I could watch a Spider-Punk movie. Fuck, I loved Spider-Punk so much, and it's Chloe's delivery too. It was just so damn good. And when everything goes to shit and that portal opens up, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm quitting, mate," and then he like goes to the portal, and that's the last time we see him for a bit. Yeah, that was home run after home run. That's a character that 100% worked for me humor-wise and look-wise. Just like couldn't take my eyes off it. Just stunning animation all the way around.
It was a good callback when he tells Miles like how to like use your palms.
Use your palms,
instead of just
yeah.
your fingertips. And like there's a brief moment when Miles is trapped and you see Spider-Punk like go like this, like he
Showing
puts
him,
his
yeah.
whole hand up. Yeah, just like use your palms. That's what Miles does. But yeah, I like that humor really worked for me too. I like that scene when Miles is like looking at him when he pulls his mask off. He's like, "Oh, you look cool even with your mask off."
Yeah, why do you
And
look
he's
cooler even with your mask off?
I always look cooler.
Yeah, I really really like that character. I feel like Spider-Punk, especially in like the PS4 Spider-Man game, like you had the suit. I feel like I never used the suit for that.
No,
I don't know.
it's
It's
like,
just something. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay, I guess. Not for me, but they really made me turn around on that character and
Give me
I guess
this
they just gave him
suit.
life.
Give me this one in PS5. I'll be all fucking over it. I'll be Spider-Punk
like him
all
without
day.
a mask and everything.
Oh
with
yeah,
the
he looked
guitar, yeah.
fantastic. He had the guitar, and I love the guitar had like its own like outline too. Like,
yeah,
oh
it was like a
my
magazine
God.
cutout. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the animation for it. And like you said, Travis, like anytime he's on screen, I was like enamored by the details on him.
Yeah.
Because like it's like a newspaper text that he was like cut out on, and yeah, all of his lines. Again, like I said earlier, I feel like I caught kind of 30% of what he said just because of like the super London accent, or I don't know. They had a term for it, but I forget. what it
Cockney.
is.
Because
Yeah,
that was
Cockney,
something.
there
Yeah.
you
The
I
only
thought
reason
that's what it was. I didn't want to guess wrong. That sounded weird.
Scooby Doo,
Cockney.
and the only reason I knew some of those words is just because I remember, one of the special features on Austin Powers. I remember like Mike Myers describing some words and like how they're used and the way they're used and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was. I'm excited to see more of that character. But yeah, my eyes were just on him the entire time. So yeah, but that was my highlight. I just want to get a bunch of merch with that character. I want the toys. He just visually is just so fun to look at, and then the character backed it up too. And Clue is just like, I love when he gets to use his accent, and he just is like such a little. He just goes from being like a shit heel, but then like Miles' biggest supporter within seconds.
Yeah.
You're like Miles be annoyed with him, but then it's like, no, I got your back. Like no matter, like you're my favorite guy here. It's like, okay, like you couldn't get a gauge on him, and that's what I loved. And I'm glad that he was at the team there at the end, but I don't think he had the mask on. But that's fine because the hair was fucking awesome. So
100%.
yeah. Let's take probably what will be our last ad break. We'll get into some final shoutouts, thoughts, ratings, all that good jazz. We'll be right back. And we're back. So go ahead.
When the roommate was playing
PS4 Spider-Man.
yeah, PS4 Spider-Man there, I thought that was a good little tie in there.
That was
cool.
sweet. Yeah. They really wanted everybody to notice that, I feel, because they showed it, and then when he was like leaving the room again, they like zoomed kind of like they panned like the camera. Well, I know it's animated, but it seemed like they panned the camera like towards the actual screens. Like everybody's playing PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which, I loved it.
And that guy got a line this go around too, because in the first movie it was just a suit, but he got a line in the actual movie. So cool for that Spider-Man.
I wanted to say, so the Spider-Man in Spider-Man PS4 is in like exists in this world, right?
Well, he was
Or
in
am I
this
wrong?
movie, so.
He was in this movie. Okay,
So
I
at
don't,
one point
I
when
don't
they
have
were,
like.
so when they were showing off all the people in their like tanks or whatever those domes were like the whatever variants, like the Lost variants. At one point, they show these two like Tetris or like pixelated characters, and in between, there's a Spider-Man with the
Insomniac.
white symbol. Yeah, it's like a Insomniac Spider-Man. He says like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" So yeah, he literally he was in the movie, had dialogue, was a part of the chase scene.
Was it the
Okay.
voice actor?
Yeah,
of
I think it
the-
was Yuri. Yeah, because Yuri was at the red carpet event last night, so I'd imagine.
okay.
What a shit!
So-
What a slap in the face! Like it's a voice acting. You're like, yeah, we just got the director. To
That's
give
where
a
Tom
couple
Holland
lines.
was.
So we have that obviously in the storyline. So that technically means, canonically speaking, Miles Morales exists in that world. So
Yes.
that Miles is there's another Miles that is a Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was interesting. I would love to see how that kind of ties in like to the storyline. Because like in this case, how did
I
Miles
don't think
become
so.
Spider-Man in the game?
I think it's
Well,
just a
he-
different version of Miles, right? It would be
But
like
how
the
did he
version
become
that's
like
in
get the
game.
powers?
Oh, he bit by a spider.
Yeah.
Did they highlight that at all in that standalone like?
Yeah, it's
Game.
like it's a mini
Was it-
origin. They get like because it's not Miles's game, but they go like the ending of the game is like him being like, "Hey Peter, I got something to talk to you about" and everything. But remember, it's
So
not
was
that
it-
Miles
it's
is
not
get- you see him
it's not
get
like a
bit,
spider
too.
from another
Yeah.
dimension. Or anything
It's not
that.
like
That's-
Spider 42. Like it's not the same spider that like is in the Spider Verse.
No.
It's just a spider that ends up biting him.
And remember, it's not that Miles Morales is a spider. Because when Miguel said that, when he's like, "You're an anomaly," I was like, "No, like you're Miguel and there's Spider Gwen. Like this doesn't make sense." But the anomaly is not that it's Miles Morales. It's just that he was not supposed to get bit. That was the anomaly. So like the Spider-Man in the PS4 Insomniac world is supposed to get bit, so, according to Miguel. You know, where this Miles from whatever this Earth is, that wasn't part of the plan and stuff. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Plus, they can just say, this all happens after the game, you know, so none of these Spider-Mans remember this, you know.
Easy fix. Miles rocking his new suit. I quite liked it actually. I feel like there's just something special about like the one next to me with his hoodie
Yeah,
and everything and the
that's-
Jordans.
oof,
It's
yeah.
tough to beat, but I still like that. Like he isn't just rocking the same like suit that he had. Like he did upgrade. I like how it even had. I don't know if they were S's or like supposed to be like lightning bolts or something. I'm sure it has something to interact with his powers, but just like the detail on him, it looked really really cool. His new improved suit, I liked it.
I love that characters kept giving him shit for like the red under his arms and stuff like that. When Peter B. Parker's like, "What are you bleeding from your armpits?" Like, and Gwen mentioned that too. Like, why is the red there? Like, I like that they all chose to focus and like kind of bug him about all the red. So yeah, it's tough because I definitely like the Spider-Verse suit more, but you couldn't go with that because that's like a rookie. That's like baby's first Spider-Man suit, right? Like you got to have the more nicer looking one. So I like the suit. It still looks great and everything. And I guess we didn't really mention him. Peter B. Parker, he's in this definitely smaller role, but I feel like that's just because he was obviously big role last one, so you kind of get that. I feel like he will have a bigger role in the third one. I was kind of surprised. It looks like he's going to be taking Mayday on this mission, which I was like, I don't know if that's the best parental move.
MJ's not going to be happy with that.
No, she divorces him and stuff. She's like, but no, everything with Mayday and that was all cute. Like they did lots of cute stuff with the baby character, and I like that. At one point, they were like in the factory of Miguel's base, and it was just Miles and Peter B. Parker talking. I was glad that happened because for a while I was worried we weren't gonna just get a solo scene of them, and I think it was warranted. So. In here for just, I feel like an appetizer, but I like the stuff that we got from him, and he's a dad, and he's happy about being a dad.
Yeah, I don't want to say a step down from the first movie, but I feel like it kind of is for me just because that's one of my favorite things about that movie is actually the dynamic between Peter B. Parker and Miles. And I like the jokes of like him being a great mentor and everyone's like, "You're a fucking terrible mentor." and then like that, like Miles would like defeat someone. It's like, see, I taught him that. He's doing pretty good. So I did like those comedic moments with him for sure. I feel like I really liked him being dad mode, wearing the slippers, wearing the robe, and also having Mayday. And Mayday was just adorable with her little toque, and then when she would pull it down ready for action, that was just really adorable. So I don't know, like I feel like it's a step down, air quotes, but like it's a necessary step down. Like like that's not the plot of the movie anymore. But
No.
I still was a little bit I don't know. I think on the initial appearance of those of him, and especially Spider-Gwen. Like I did like the interaction of her, I guess first getting to where Miles is, and like when they do their little swing date when they're just going through the town and catching
that
up.
was juicy. Good chemistry with all
Phenomenal
that stuff.
song too. It's a phenomenal song, and shouts out to Patreon Tyler, he found it. It's called Mona Lisa, that song. So I feel like
Nice.
that'll be the sunflower song for this movie. I think it'll be on the radio. So
Oh, okay, we'll see.
Great and powerful Dominic Fike. So I really really like that song, and I did like how like she's just kind of there on a mission, but I still wanted a little bit more because like they both have been missing each other for over a year now, and it's just like, yeah, no, this is just what we're doing. I don't know, kind of splitting hairs
But
there. It's not a
even
big
that
deal.
scene though, where like they were on that top of that building and like they went and walked underneath,
Yeah.
and it just
Good point.
Not even I guess the reflection, just it was just upside down. How it was like,
Yeah.
like a mirrored image,
it was
sort of.
so cool.
Yeah, I think if we didn't, I think with that scene being longer, because they do like the whole zigzag through the traffic, they catch up and stuff. I was happy with the amount there. I hope we get more in 3, but you know, it's hard when you got animated and you got to get some chemistry because like they're animated blocks, but like you could feel the chemistry, and it's like, okay, this all that was really, really working. So I was a big fan of all that.
Yeah. I think it was just more so like when she first gets there, she's kind of shady because like she is there on a mission, not just to see Miles. Like she does go
Yeah.
out of her way to see Miles. She was specifically told to not see Miles, so
But
I
she
guess
lied
did-
to him, right? Because she said he was there for him, and
Yeah,
and even
and-
later on in the movie, it's like she was trying to save him, but then Miles finds out again that's just a lie. So she's constantly lying to this poor guy.
Yeah, and I think that was the issue I kind of had because it like especially early like when we have that opening with her, she just seems like she's so alone, and then she's even saying like she wasn't alone, but now she is alone, and then you can see like the way that they're doing the animation with like Miles in the background, like when she's on the subway, you see the reflection of her. All that stuff was sweet, but I didn't buy it when she's like, oh, I just want to see Miles again. Then when she does see him, she's just like on her mission. But I don't know, maybe she's gone through a lot of growth in that moment, and she is just all for the mission. But she's kind of switched back to you know being Team Miles for sure by the end of it. But when Peter B. Parker came out, that just warmed my heart because I love the dynamic between Miles and him. Just that father, son, uncle, brother, whatever. Ghost Rider dynamic they got.
Ghost Rider, there we go. Sucked up. I was gonna say I was really worried when she jumped the portal to her next mission, and I like Jessica Drew. I thought she was fine. Like I don't think she was actually
Jess Drew, right?
That's what they called her. Yeah, Jess Drew. I thought she was fine. I actually don't think, other than her look and suit, I don't think they gave her enough time to really shine. So maybe that'll happen in the third. But I did like, obviously they're having the conversation. She jumps missions. I was really worried that Miles was just gonna like fucking kiss her against her will. Like I get it that like Gwen's like.
Invisible.
Like, yeah. Like I get it. Like I'm sure when they kiss, Gwen's gonna be all for it, and they'll be like couple, right? They'll figure out the multiverse long distance thing. But I really thought that could be the first second. I'm like, oh, don't do this. Don't do this in the kids movie. Don't do that. And then like he turned himself, and then she jumps through and whatnot, and it all
crossed my
worked
mind.
out.
It crossed my mind for sure.
Yeah, because like I know sometimes they try to pose as romantic, but it's like, that's not what you're gonna be doing in the kids movie. Like, well, if you're invisible, you can get that kiss, especially because she just kind of told them of like, we can't be together. She did just say it'd be great, but no, it's not. He's trying. He's like, there's a first time for everything. She's like, yeah, I guess, but see ya. I'm going back.
I really love that scene though visually of just like her looking back on like where the party would be and like saying goodbye to Miles, but Miles actually right there, and I almost said the actor just selling that moment, but just the phenomenal animation of the character, just of Miles, like seeing her leave, and like he's waited so long to just see her again. He had like no time with her, and he hesitated for a quick moment there, but he went through the portal.
Lots of drawings of her,
Yeah.
Want to see my drawings?
And that was another thing that was in the trailer, so I feel like I was kind of cheated in it to an extent, but I still love the sequence though of her just finding it, just like flipping through. Yeah.
I missed you too, bud. She just knows this guy is just doing terrible things, thinking about these photos. Like she just knows. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I like though. Like when she sees the notebook, she webs it, and he like tries to web it too, but that she's just way faster than him. That's funny.
Yeah. Anything else? Any moments, character stuff? I'm sure I know we'll talk about this again with Dylan and After 9 and Golden Geeks after a few watches, but
I don't think you mentioned it, and forgive me if you already did, but Mrs. Chang from Venom. When the
No,
spot
we didn't.
popped
Yeah, we
up.
were saving that. Yeah, I got spoiled on that because they put that in a TV spot, which was just like
What?
super. Oh yeah,
Fucking
super.
pricks.
Yeah, super weird. But like, luckily it's Venom, so I'm like, I don't give a shit. But I was kind of surprised because they like literally set her up because he pops the portal and she's like nonchalant. He's like, oh, a lot of weird stuff must happen here. He's like, can I take this gum? And he's gone. I thought they're for sure gonna have her be like, well, my neighbor, or they get my regular is like a fucking like. It was just weird that he set her up for lots of weird things happen here. Doesn't mention a vampire, doesn't mention the symbiote, and then he just goes. So it's like, it should have been cooler, but it kind of was just kind of lackluster. But it was cool. I think it would have been cooler if they didn't do any more live action stuff. But then later on in the movie, they did a bunch of live action stuff, so it kind of made it less. Because I was like, oh, that's cool. We got a live action segment. But it's like, oh, we got multiple Donald Glover, and even if they're showing an old clip of Andrew Garfield, it's still live action, right? But yeah, hopefully, Tom Hardy misses the call for the next one. You know.
It really did nothing for me in that scene. Like I knew it was Venom, but it's just like, okay, yeah, here it is. They even had like a gum that was called like the gum that he takes, like the spot when he goes through the portal. It's called like Venom something. I forget specifically what it was.
It just makes you think of those movies. Like, oh, I don't want to be thinking of the bad Sony movies.
Yeah, I just
right
think
now.
of tater tots in that scene.
Oh God, yeah. I love. Did you notice at one point in talking about the gum, there was a soda. It was like the brand, like it was a logo, and the circle was soda, and then it's just a generic brand.
Yeah, that's
The
funny.
first one had fun stuff like that too, so I appreciated it.
Yeah, for sure. Like the slightly different, I guess the multiversal thing, slightly different.
I'm a big sucker for those kind of just again Easter eggs, crossover stuff like that, and yeah, it totally worked for me too. I just love the idea of knowing that there's just so many dimensions out there with like infinite numbers of Venoms that exist.
And Taylor's.
Venom.
Think of your own universe, multiversal.
Well, there's a lot of them. Holy shit!
I don't want to. You think about that,
I'm
you
not-
get in trouble. You
there's-
go down that rabbit hole.
It's just Taylor Field podcasting, a bunch of PS4 Spider-Mans in the back. Big PlayStation guy, completely against Xbox.
Yeah, his mistake was you weren't supposed to get a PlayStation. You're an anomaly. You're supposed to get an Xbox.
You're just causing. Yeah, he's causing just riffs across the movie.
Yeah. On that note of like the break off of dimensions and stuff like that, I really love that scene before we got to the whole like Spider-Verse. It just did the classic MCU timelines that were just breaking off.
Yeah.
Timeline branches. I love that. It's so cool. Just thinking
Sacred
like, are we going to see
timeline.
Jonathan Majors Kang? Just
Ghost
possibly
Rider?
no. Yeah, Ghost
Jonathan
Rider. I need to
Majors.
get a picture of that and put Ghost Rider surfing it like in Loki.
How unfortunate. They're like, yeah, we'll give you an MC character. How about Kang? And they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be Avengers, and just a big image of Jonathan Majors pops
We'll
up
give
during
you
this
Vulture,
Like an
we'll give
uncle-
you Kang now too.
Like an
Yeah.
Uncle Aaron mural, but it's just yeah, Jonathan Majors.
I was actually surprised because I know MCU doesn't do it, and I could be wrong. So please let me know in comments, Twitter, Discord, whatever, down below. You can find all our other stuff. I was surprised I didn't see a Stan Lee thing. Did you guys?
No.
Because why I thought would happen, and some people might thought it's poor taste. I wouldn't have, because like if you remember first Spider-Verse, he has that speaking dialogue, but then he pops in the film like multiple times with no dialogue. I thought for sure we're gonna see a no dialogue Stan Lee or something, and I would have liked that. I know people might be like, oh, it's gonna attack you, but like, yeah, I don't know, he's still a part of that character and stuff like that. So I was personally surprised there was no anything Stan Lee, at least from what I saw. Maybe someone will point out Easter egg, that'd be great, but I thought for sure we get a model at least. So
I didn't really think about it in the time or at the time, but I think I would like it in the next movie, like to finish off the trilogy. I don't know. He's just like not even a voice in line, but just something there. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Winks at Spider-Man, gives him a thumbs up. It's just something to like tie him to.
Enough said.
Spider-
Or something
Enough
like
said.
that. Because one man can make a difference. And it's just lines pulled from the Raimi films.
it could. We have how many lines are pulled from these movies, right? So that happens all the time.
I want to shout out the sequence. Again, getting back to Miles's mom, but like when she ungrounds him to go chase after Spider-Gwen there, I was just like getting emotional in that scene because I knew that was going to be the last time that he sees her. Because like not permanently, but just like for this film at least,
Maybe.
going to the multiverse, and it really, I thought it was kind of obvious, but knowing that made it even more emotional because she's like, yeah, no, be right back, like promise you'll be right back with that cake, and then he you'll probably show up at some point back, hopefully with the cake to tie it all back there. But I don't know. It was just it was a nice touching heart to heart, because like I said earlier, like we did get that with the dad and Miles in the first time, like especially just like through the that great scene when the dad is like trying to talk to Miles through the door. Miles is all like roped up or webbed up at the time, but it's just such a really nice, like touching father son moment. So we kind of got that with the mother and the son. So I really like that, and yeah, a scene that got me a little choked up.
Yeah,
You got
I
that.
agree.
You got that scene too when right after they dealt with the spot and the dad's just like looking over like the horizon a little bit on like that perch or whatnot. And Miles
yeah, that
just
was
goes up
fun.
and they have that conversation. I like
Hey,
when Miles
officer.
just like
He's always doing that fucking voice.
Oh,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that Gwen did like a lower voice in her universe too. Like, "Hey, Captain Stacy, you're trying to find me." Like, I like they have this go-to low monotone and stuff. And
Batman voices.
Yeah.
But I like when
where is she?
he's just like maybe just get off his back.
Yeah.
Something like that. He's like,
Get off
what?
his
No,
ass.
he was like, "I don't get off his ass." Or, yeah, what? Oh, nothing. I like when he went for the fist bump. He's like, "All right, another time," and like he just leaves.
I love to like when the dad brought up what like the advice basically that Spider-Man gave him. It's just like, just let him spread his wings, and then he like does that, and the mom's just like,
What
it's
are
a
you
really
doing?
weird thing. Yeah, exactly. Just very strange.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Nice.
Anything else?
No post credits, anything
No
like that.
post credits. Yeah.
No.
A lot of people
post-credits?
were waiting. Right
Yeah.
theater.
I
Fuck
googled
this movie. 1 out of 10.
after the phenomenal like animation that they had.
Oh my god!
It was stellar.
They
I
pretty
wanted the
much
whole
just.
credits.
It's funny because the first movie, it's like a bunch of just like showing the different variants of Spider-Man. They're like playing, like they show Gwen Stacy playing music. They have them all like fun, bright situations. This legitimately, they were just like, "Okay, can you make us a 007 James Bond opening?" But it's gonna be the end credits. Like that, like him like falling through an eye. And I love there's one point where he falls through a spot when he comes out. He's like the Prowler Miles, but it literally just felt like some of these Daniel Craig James
Yeah.
Bond's openings where it just like. But yeah, that I was like, "Fuck, give me a whole movie of this art style." That was
Let the
fucking
sky fall.
yeah.
Adele
But that,
starts playing.
that art style. Oh my god! Like I said, give me that. Give me a short of that. Give me a movie of that. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Like this
Oh.
movie.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll probably have the lowest score, but I'm gonna give it a 10. But yeah, because like I said, it's like Guardians, where I don't think no movie's perfect, but like there are some nitpicks I have. There's some issues and everything, and I still put it below the first one as of right now. But I'm still seeing it, and there's even stuff with the canon stuff where I go, that could be an issue later. So I withhold my right to maybe if I get 3 and I go, oh, you know what? The way they explain the multiverse stuff, the canon stuff, that really didn't work out. That kind of hurts that movie. I'll have to bring it down. But as right now, there's just so much good. That's why I'm not doing you. I'm not doing the Dune.
Very
I'm doing the
Dune thing.
reverse Dune. You said 9.5, maybe a 10. I'm going 10, maybe 9.5. And honestly, that's as low as it would drop, as like a 9.5. Like it's like when we reviewed Wakanda Forever, and then we learned, oh, that's actually how Winston Duke became the king of Wakanda. It's like, yeah, that took the score down for me, because like, oh, well, that's lame. So same thing. If there's some things that happen, but a little issues here and there, but it's a 10 for 2 reasons. Of one, my enjoyment, but it's honestly just a 10 for just like, I'm just how impressive the production of this. Again, like I said, without even the story, you meet it all, just the visuals alone are definitely worth the price of admission, definitely worth of you seeing on the big screen. But it's just, it's worth that. It's worth that quality. It's such a great thing, and I'm very excited for the next part. This was a great time. I'm excited to get the Blu-ray, because I got the Blu-ray like Kirkland of this one, and I will be. I'm excited to do double features. I'm excited to wait for those breakdowns. So yeah, no, they killed it again. Like I said, maybe not as strong as the first one for me, and I still think if I have the Mount Rushmore of comic book movies, I would put that one on there as the top 4. I wouldn't put this one, but again, I'd put this in like a top 25, 30. We have a lot of great comic book movies, but this is the Spider-Verse stuff we're doing right now is something special, and let's just hope they bring it on home with that third one. There you go.
Well,
I'm done. That's Spider-Man 4. Bring it home. You're like, oh god,
bring it on home.
can
Tom
we just
Holland's
bring it
coming
on
in.
home? Yeah, can we just drop this fucking shit already?
I'll go next. I'll let the Spider guy close us out. this was absolutely like 10 out of 10. This is just fantastic. This is my number one of the year so far. I love everything about
Thank
this.
God.
I'm a
Dethrone
huge
Tetris.
Tetris.
huge, yeah,
It still
dethrone
bugs me. It's
Tetris.
better over John Wick, but yeah.
I'm a huge sucker for just Easter eggs and tie-ins and just having so much of this universe that's just been created in different iterations of the franchise with these characters and just embracing it all. I love that. It is great, and they had so many amazing tie-ins, some great humor, some great action sequences. Everything was visually stunning, like just the art, the animation, just it was incredible. Like the movie was long, but there was not a single point in time where I felt like this needed to be a second shorter. I loved everything that I was getting in here, and like I said at the start of this cast, I felt like I did when I finished Avengers Infinity War. I am just on edge. I want that sequel so bad, and I'm so happy that they can still dish out superhero movies like this that just end on such a big cliffhanger and just have me craving that follow-up film. I think that's great. I hope many other people go and see this film multiple times in theaters. I want to. And I just cannot wait for it to drop and see what kind of like a steel case they would have for this. I don't even know if like the first
It's already
one,
out there.
is there? I know the first one has steel case bundle with Venom and Spider-Man Homecoming. You got the three.
Get it without Venom.
You want that
please?
still case? Yeah, you gotta get
Gotta
Venom.
get through Venom.
Yeah, but I'm just this is easily a day one purchase for me when it drops hard copy or physical copy. So yeah, incredible fucking film.
Incredible fucking film. Yeah, I completely agree. This is 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love this movie so much. I am so happy that they're able to deliver to like I had such high expectations for this. I knew I was gonna love it, but like I had very high expectations. Like I think anything underneath a 10 would have been like a slight disappointment because it would have been like a noticeable step down from the
Good
first
luck,
one.
part 3.
Yeah, definitely. They keep ramping it up. Hopefully, they keep doing it. It's hard to picture them doing it, but I mean, they did it here, so definitely have faith in them. I definitely like the first one more, but like that doesn't make this not a 10. Like this is such a great film. I just got so happy. Like I mean, the emotional moments, the great animation moments, but also just like my favorite, what got me into Spider-Man as a young kid was like Spider-Man 1960 whatever the animation show. I think it's 66 or something. Like that show I watched. I would wake up at like 6 a.m. on a Saturday to watch that every single time. Like I just love that show so much, and to see it here, like it totally just like made my heart warm up of just like seeing like the two, and like they like made a joke about it. He's like swinging right at Miles, and then he just like goes right by him because he's like 2D. Just so fantastic. I love that moment. But yeah, I can't wait for the Easter egg breakdown. I can't wait for part 3. And I can't wait to just see this trilogy like in order, like once I have it physical. And I really grown to just love the character of Miles Morales. I didn't know anything about him before like going into the first Spider-Verse movie, but now it's just, man, I love this version of Spider-Man so much, and they're just doing such a great job at telling this story. So yeah, might have super minor cons if we talk about certain specific moments, but overall, 10 out of 10 movie. This is so fantastic. Can't wait to bump the playlist, the album tomorrow.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've done it. We'll be back. I think it's supposed to be next year, right? Is that the date for the next movie?
So, like,
I think so.
Christmas time of next year. It might be pushed, but still.
Yeah, true. But either
There
way.
was someone in my theaters, like apparently a lot of people just didn't know this was a 2-parter. There were some people in my own camp that just didn't know that. Yeah, they're like, what? Oh my gosh, cliffhanger. And then, but like someone behind me, this was the same person that was kind of pissing me off talking the whole movie. But as soon as like it said like he'll be back, they're like, oh, now we gotta wait 5 years, or like it's just like holy fuck. No, it's been known that it's a 2-parter. Like they've been making the second or the next one already.
No idea.
Yeah. 5 to 7 years for the next one. Like, oh, here we go.
7 years. What the
Like
fuck?
exclaimed it that loud. It's like, fuck. I hate certain moviegoers. But they supported the movie, so that's great.
Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back whenever that happens for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Thank you very much for listening to this review. Thank you very much for listening to any review or newscast or something in the future. You'll hear from us next week, and we promise you it'll not be boring. 7 years.